Cool, let's have some reminders from the last campaign. I can find them. Oh, that's because I'm in the wrong campaign sheet. Okay, now let's have some reminders from the last campaign. Nazeem is the captain now. Coayah wants a power sword. Coayah wants to investigate wrist-mounted bolters, which he's actually done in the time skip. And he's quite a power spear rather than a power sword. The Legion is now marking great deeds on your power armor. Seb has been rebuilt during the time skip as a sort of robo-surf. And Nazeem wants a power fist, though he's wound up trading that out for a force sword, which is notionally, as far as everyone else is concerned, some kind of Archaeotech best quality power sword. But in actual fact...
I thought it was I, Archaeotech, but it was me, Heresy, all along.
Heresy, this is simply deviance at this point. Okay, so let's have the time skip descriptive segment. With the conclusion of the Venusian campaign, the Second Legion establishes for itself a particular character. Fierce, individualistic, quick-thinking, and disobedient to a fault. Over the next few years, as the Great Crusade begins in earnest and your custom of electing your officers becomes more notorious, it's not long before your legion earns for itself a new moniker from the other Marines you serve alongside. The Quarrellers. The earliest years of the Great Crusade are a confusing time for you all. The Imperial truth continues to take ever firmer shape as philosophers at Brainrights take their minds to it. But the Martian Mechanicum's religion is quietly allowed to exist, and further, the first batch of Techmarines is sent away and, after a whirlwind education, brought back, including Brother Coatlmox. The existence of psychers as a scientific phenomenon is revealed, recontextualizing the Venusian campaign, and the first astropaths are created. Navigators become more than half-glimpsed myths as ships travel beyond the Sol system, and Astartes units begin to fight in groups smaller than the thousands. Throughout this time, Third Company serves with distinction in a number of minor campaigns as part of the First Grand Company's general operations under Captain Tlaloc. It's 10 years before the Crusade has pushed far enough out that the fleet must split. 10 years before Captain Nazeem's first solo command. But today is the day, as your little splinter fleet punches into real space in a new system, the first Imperial forces to arrive since initial scouts. As head of the newly divided 22nd Expeditionary Fleet, Captain Nazeem is in supreme command of the attached Imperial Army, including ground troops and void ships, and has been tasked with helping the drive northwards towards the Eye of Terror.
It's not called the Eye of Terror at the moment, it's called Cygnus X1.
I looked for ages to find what it was called in the Great Crusade and could not. Thank you, that is super helpful. Eye of Terror did not feel correct.
Yeah.
Let me note that real quick. What was that, sorry?
Cygnus X1.
Thank you. And has been tasked with helping the drive north towards Cygnus X1. You approach a key staging point, the world of Galifas, classified as civilized and sitting astride a stable warp route heading spinwards from the recently compliant Abyssin Forge cluster. Galifas, or 2201 in Imperial designatory practice, is not of great industrial worth in and of itself, but a peaceful, or at least non-destructive, compliance would leave it far better able to make the transition to becoming a suitable Imperial way station. Should you succeed, this world will become a vital point of succor for both the Second Legion and the Sixth as they conquer towards the galactic north. They are also operating in this area. Long-range one-way hails from Galifas indicate that the world's leadership knows you're coming, and you're just a few days out from the planet when the fleet's commanders gather aboard the bridge of the Obsidian Heart for a briefing. Okay. Let's have a flash up on your holodecks on your hololithic command deck.
Shiny.
The world of Galifas appears before you. Cool.
Reorganizing windows.
Sorry?
reorganizing my window so I can see more of it.
Fair. Cool.
There we go.
So, what do folks? You can ask any general questions about like what forces you have.
What kind of artillery do we have on board? Can we just nuke the planet?
Oh yes, that's a very good point. I should give you your objectives. Prime, bring Galifas major continents. It's got archipelagos all over the place, but these are the only three. These are the only three major land masses to heal without leveling the world. Have enough army troops left over to garrison the place. Secondary, recover any exotic alien technology for the Mechanicum, and censure any areas that may or may not be that may be tainted by Xenos. In other words, yes, you can just nuke the planet if you would like. That would categorically be a failure, and you would.
We will need a very good reason to do so.
Yeah, like you'd have to explain. Otherwise, you'd just get.
They're looking at us funny. I can see it from here.
Now, hear me out, guys. What if we bombed the ocean until it created a tsunami and just washed away all our problems, and then we landed a few months later?
I like that.
Our problems would come from the sky, given we're supposed to, capture and garrison this world, and we can't really do that if we've washed it all away.
Yeah, tidal waves do a tremendous
mass
amount
destruction
of
is
physical
not
damage as well.
not the plan here.
Yes.
There's also plenty of mountain bases, and tidal waves don't necessarily go all that way far, in considering the length and width of the island mission.
So, I want to confirm objectives. Prime is have enough troops to garrison.
No, Prime is bring the world to compliance without major widespread destruction. Secondary is have enough army troops left over to garrison said world, and third is recover any pertinent tech that the Mechanicum might wish to peruse, and fourth is cleanse any and all Xenos infestations upon the world. Our primary objective is to conquer the world without widespread destruction.
Yeah, you want to use the place basically. So if you completely torch it, you're gonna have issues. I suppose you could, but it would also.
There's a reason they sent us and not the 14th or the 6th or the 12th or something like that.
The 6th are operating in your area, and they very conspicuously did not assign the 6th to this. For the record as well, just to answer Creed's question, it would be horrendously easy. This is actually covered in the orbital bombardment rules in Rogue Trader, but if you lance blast an ocean, you just flash evaporate it, which does immediately cause tsunamis. So you wouldn't actually even need to particularly roll for it, because you're not trying to hit a target, you're trying to evaporate a segment of ocean, which also
if someone misses the ocean or misses a planet when firing from orbit and you're pretty close to the planet, they should be fired if they miss that, really.
I mean, yes, they can be, certainly, but also it's less like, oh, you missed the planet, and more like, oh, we were trying to hit that city and you hit the area immediately next to the city where all the industrial bits that we wanted to use were. Like, that's why you roll to aim when you're doing planetary bombardment.
Totally.
We're not bombarding the planet.
As an aside, can I have been training up Seb or Jeb or whatever his name is as my technomat?
Sure.
I want a pet technomat.
Wow.
As an aside, can I have been running gladiatorial combat to determine the company champion?
I want to be experimenting on people.
You're a philosophizer.
We've gone Mechanicum to several legions, including Blood Angels, World Eaters, and yes, Imperial Fists, to Fabius Bile in the course of 3 sentences.
All right.
A bridge of psychobrains.
Let's handle these in order then. Yes, sure. Seb is in fact your personal menial, and probably somewhat grateful for being resurrected from literal death. So he came out of that surprisingly happy, all things considered. For someone whose chest was detonated. On the Benji front, I think he asked next. Sure, what do you like? Do you want to have been competing in these, or you're running them from amongst your squads?
Running them for everyone. Everyone is allowed to participate. All members of the Legion.
All right, sure. In that case, everyone who wants to have been competing in the company champion stuff, roll weapon skill real quick. We'll just do a standard +0.
Okay.
I will do one on behalf of your standard Legionnaires.
I think Creed's gonna win.
Can I watch as everyone plays and try to?
This will have been going on for years, so you can certainly. In...
I like watching.
Yeah, I'm assessing everyone's strengths and weaknesses and so forth.
Yeah.
Who does one DOS? How is the 7 only 3?
3.
Looks like I steal your plan once again.
2,
No, I just wanted to find. I wanted to have one in the company.
2 DOS.
You know, if an honor duel must be fought, you want your best guy. You want your best foot forward.
2 DOS for the standard Legionnaires. What was your DOS there, Creed?
3.
3.
Okay, yeah, that your company champion most of the time is Coatlmox, whose ferocity in unarmed combat is somewhat aided by his ability to fire laser eyes, which shouldn't really count, but it's difficult to argue with him.
Because of the laser eye.
Because of the laser eyes, yes. Cool, and next up was, I believe, Kuzco. Kuzco, what? Define experimenting on people. What is this for me?
For you, insanity.
Yeah, I think you might be muted, Carl. Carl?
Maybe he's turning up.
Carl! There are some unexperimented humans in this house.
You know what? We really should have just been the 3rd Legion. To be honest, it would have filled all the potential routes.
No, this is fun though. I get to do alt history this way.
I know.
Sorry, my PC pooped out and decided to restart itself when you said define.
Fun.
Oof, preach. I know that pain. I was asking what you'd like to do experiment-wise.
I'm mostly looking for like tolerance ranges of things so I can get a good idea of when to mostly be concerned about stuff and just how far Marines can push themselves.
Okay, so these are members of the company you want to be experimenting on, not the Imperial Army.
Yeah, mostly. Like, I don't give a fuck about normal moots. Apart from to their face, then I love them.
Fucking Carl's commitment with Kuzco to, I will be the nicest person to your face and always betray you behind your back. Doesn't matter who you are. I'm down for it. Okay, cool. In that case, we can have someone roll on your behalf if your PC is still restarting. But I think that's probably an intelligence, right? Medicaid over intelligence, please.
Yeah, if someone else could roll for me, please.
Who do you want to roll for you?
Oh, man, like, I would have said Chris, but he's used up a good roll.
That's fair. All right. Young Nicholas, do you want to give us a roll on behalf of your apothecary?
Sure.
That is 4 DOS.
Oh, hell yeah, thank you, Captain.
You're welcome.
Oh, good. We've got Fabius Bile Jr. going on.
Yeah, the other Marines in the 3rd Company are not exactly happy with you, Kuzco. Compared to the sort of surprisingly joyous affair that is Coayah's fighting pits, your experiments are cruel and unusual, but they do give you an incredibly detailed and intimate medical knowledge of basically every member of your company. Almost no one save the command squad themselves, unless your captain endorses this and forces them to go, which, let's just double check in. Nazeem?
I'm not going to force
This
anyone
is
to do anything, no. I might have an inkling of what's going on, but I'm going to let him do his thing.
Okay,
Until it causes issues, it's not an issue.
So, Nazeem, the old Emperor syndrome. I can see you'll be a fine father figure. So Nazeem is turning a blind eye to this, which means, yeah, you work your way through basically everyone in the company apart from the command squad. I guess you may consider yourself to have an intimate medical knowledge of everyone in the company for the duration of this campaign.
Thank you.
So I suppose it is technically your job to have that as the apothecary anyway, but
How many Marines do we have assigned to us?
you have 100 plus ancillaries.
Do we have any distribution of special equipment, Terminator suits, Devastator weaponry?
Devastator weaponry, yes. You've got the old Volkite cannon and the graviton gun, and then probably, I assume, some heavy bolters or something. Honestly, that would likely be an Ollie preference, but some more standard heavy weaponry.
So the backstory for the graviton gun is that I came across a graviton gun in an earlier campaign. Some fight we did. And I was like, that's really, really cool. Let's see if we can make this better and bigger. So, I don't know if it's possible for a Space Marine to have asked some people who are under his command to sort of start tinkering with a better version, because the Mechanicus or Mechanicum.
I think I'll be the one buddy with the Mechanicum, son. What is this?
You're actually,
Right.
unfortunately, not super buddy-buddy with the Mechanicum. Do you want to hear what the Mechanicum... Sorry, we'll get to this afterwards, but there is a Mechanicum contingent to your fleet. Bits will make you happy, and bits will make you less happy. But yes, you would approach your Techmarine, and they would be unlikely to necessarily be able to tinker with something, tinker with something without very good reason, though they do that. But they could potentially requisition you something, and there's a lot more Graviton stuff going around at this point as well.
Okay. Well, something along the lines of the heavy destructor squads, the devastator squads we have, mostly focused around just pure chaos and havoc, completely disrupting everything. So a lot of it is, I think, Graviton with...
So you might call them Havoc squads then. Extremely, yes, fair.
Are they painted silver? Would you say they were painted in an iron colour?
Look, the Second Legion's Havoc squads are a beautiful loyalist organisation. Sorry, this is all meaningless to you if you don't play Chaos, Ollie.
It is.
They're cacking the fuck out.
Havoc squads is the name of the Chaos Space Marine heavy weapons squads.
Mm. Yes, we do like our Havoc,
so
but we are loyalists.
You know what? Actually, you know what? We wanted to have a thing where you guys had had closer ties to the Admech. Sorry, I keep doing this, to the Mechanicum.
We've got ties to the Iron Warriors, yeah.
Well, I don't know about Iron Warriors, especially as they're not the Iron Warriors yet, I don't think. But
Yeah, they are.
on behalf of your heavy weapons guy, Maccy, Coatlmox, Mr. Techmarino.
Hello.
I will take, I guess, charm over intelligence, please. We'll give you a +10 because we want to guide this towards happening to see if you can secure Graviton weapons for your heavy weapon. That's a lot. How many DOS is that?
+10, 4.
4 DOS. Yeah, you know what? Fucking your Techmarine guy.
I'm buddy with a Mechanicum, all right?
So you mentioned your desire for Graviton weapons way back before Coatlmox is even sent off to the Mechanicum on his crash course. Because for the record, the apprenticeship for a Techmarine is 30 years, and he's definitely done less than 10. But, they have to throw them out there at this point. But he goes away with this vague idea of maybe he'll get some Graviton guns whilst he's out there, and by hook or by crook or by blackmail or befriending someone...
Or just by straight up good old looting.
When Coatlmox returns to you, he comes with a resupply shipment, and in that resupply shipment is a contingent of a dozen, I guess... What's the Graviton heavy weapon? Is it all Graviton destructors?
I only have them marked. I've only found Deathwatch Graviton cannon.
Deathwatch have a cannon. There's a bunch of Mechanicum specific ones like imploders, but I don't know if we'd have those because they're mostly on stuff like Thanatars.
Let me have a quick look. I can't see anything that's it's just plasma cannons I'm seeing, sort of thing.
Just having a speedy check on Lexicanum. 2 seconds.
You'd probably buy a Graviton cannon.
Why is Lexicanum being so bloody heavy to... here we go. Jesus Christ. Is Lexicanum dying?
Potentially.
You have the 40k stats gone down.
1d4.
Remember 1d4 chan isn't exclusive, but...
Let's back up.
No, 1d4 chance back, yeah.
Someone rehosted. Yeah, fuck it. So, Deathwatch Graviton cannons for the entire heavy weapons division. So, we'll say, including yours, you've got 5 in the company.
5 in the company.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
an insane amount of Graviton guns.
It really is.
You do not have any Terminator armor at the moment, partially because you got allocated, 5 fucking Graviton cannons.
How many power weapons do we have for the company? Apart from the command squad's power weapons, of course.
I don't think you would have any other than the power weapons that the command squad has. I believe your Legion prides itself on its chainswords, right? So it seems like they wouldn't issue you with spare power swords.
How many of those special chainswords do we have?
I guess standard nightly rules, so about 3 per brother.
Excellent.
Quick question about the about the layout of the squads. So we are in command of 100 Marines. We're commanding one 100-man segment, right? Of our chapter.
Grand company at this point, but yes.
Okay, so are those individual 10s, like I assume they're like groups of 10s or groups of 5s, are they split into specialist squads then? Because I know like once you get into like once you come later, like a couple of thousand years in the future, like the entire
that they will be standardized eventually, but at the moment that is actually up to your captain how he's operating things. Your squad did run mixed when he was a low ranking mook, and you condensed down to 10-man squads from 5-man squads at the very end of the last campaign. Specifically, if you'll recall, you have squads through 1 through 9, and then squad 20.
I remember now, yeah.
I suppose technically at this moment you have 101 Marines, so you have squads 1 through 10 and the remedial squad, which consists of the remaining member of your rival squad.
So there were 2 of them.
Yes, one of them has died in the intervening time.
Sucks to be him.
Nick, so I suppose that means, seeing as we have 5 graviton cannons, do you want 5 Havoc squads where they have like 1 graviton cannon?
A Havoc squad would be where everyone has heavy weapons.
Oh, okay. In which case, then I'm just having...
presumably have heavy bolters, which you could have one person with a special weapon in the squad, aka
That's kind of what I'm thinking, but to be honest, the idea of having an entire squad, including that I command, of just graviton guns is hilarious.
What I would suggest, Brother Captain, would be that we arrange the Marines thusly. Devastator, Tactical, and Assault squads, as per the Principia Bellicosa. With us, we already have an idea of who amongst us are the greatest hand-to-hand warriors from our trials. We would merely need to run tests on who is the best at shooting, and assign them to the Devastator squads.
Havoc squads.
Fine. Havoc squads.
Sounds fair enough.
Are you?
And I think we have one.
Are you just going to go along with Coayah, especially after his Did you not feel any bad blood for the events of 10 years ago?
It's 10 years ago.
Yeah, barely a blink of an eye. He barges in here. He's not even asking for the heavy weapons specialist's opinion on how to lay things out.
Brother Captain, we did it just fine our way. Everyone else can learn from our example. You led
That's
us
a very good point.
then, and you can lead us now.
That's fair enough.
I make a request to the Brother Captain of... I suggest we have one completely insane Havoc squad, which I have under my command to have all the graviton guns, or potentially we have 2 Havoc squads split out. But I will take my brother sergeant's word for it.
Brother Captain.
Organize them as you like.
Brother Captain, yeah.
Organize them as you like. Insanity can be good.
Then I should occasionally split them up, or occasionally have them in an entire group, I think.
Okay, so you've allocated your, we'll say that's a tenth of the company goes to Mackie to organise as he will.
Brother Lieutenant, I must protest at this. 5 squads, each with a single graviton gun in, would allow us for a far greater fire saturation over a larger area than merely packing all of the graviton weapons into one squad.
I would like it noted, I'm sat to the side face palming, being all like, no wonder they call us the Squabblers.
Quarrellers.
Or Quarrellers, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, Legion policy has been to willfully misunderstand it. So because you can't change the nickname, you've adopted a crossbow as your icon, and it's, it's about all them quarrels we fire.
It's like when someone makes fun of you and you really take it in stride, and it takes all the fun out of their making fun of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I do see your point, but our normal firepower is far than enough. This extra potent squad of graviton weaponry is a tip to our spear. Is the utility to our swing.
And I do remind Coayah that I also did. But Nick did say I have also got the ability to rearrange and, by the sounds of it, put some. I can have more squads if I need to. I just say I've slingshot it between one entire squad of
needed, or keep them together. It's up to him. It's a flexible thing.
He never does listen to you, does he, Coayah? You come at him with these perfectly sound, standard tactical arguments, literally written in the Emperor's own hand and the hand of his tacticians. And he comes at you saying, no, it's best just...
He comes at me saying, no, let's put them at the tip of the spear. the heavy weapons people at the tip of the spear.
That's incredibly valuable technology, and just, I don't know. Anywho, I believe I promised Creed a rundown of how the Mechanicum looks in the 22nd Expeditionary Fleet.
Yes.
So,
I would have been trying to suck up the all Mechanicum as much as possible.
I've got some good news and I've got some bad news for you. The bad news is that the Dunmech from previous times has been promoted almost alongside you and is your official Mechanicum adjutant attached to the fleet. Which means that he's technically outside of Nazeem's command structure and theoretically has override powers over the Mechanicum, though in practice that can be a bit, dicey. He is, as you may remember, he is an ultra-conservative Magos and the chief Mechanicum representative in the fleet. He jealously hoards technology and vies for control over both your attached Skitari and Legio Clava, which is the contingent of a Titan Legion attached to your fleet. You have a single maniple consisting of 5 Warhound Titans, as well as their supporting Skitari Tagmata.
How many Warhounds? Sorry, what?
5.
5. In
Do you
addition,
remember that time, Creed, you ran a Titan up the side of an Imperial Star Destroyer?
your general fleet makeup, for the record, for everyone, you have the Obsidian Heart, which was originally a barely completed Lunar-class light cruiser, though technically they're heavy cruisers in 30k for no readily apparent reason that I can see. And that has since been retrofitted and expanded quite heavily. It's still honestly in the process of that, so it's kind of also half finished, but it's been significantly worked on since then and would now count as something like a heavy cruiser. But it's generally a bloated, unsightly mess, something which displeases, what's the laddo's name? Manabi Virith to no end.
Do the 30k cruisers look like walking churches, or are they not at that point yet? I assume they look more utilitarian.
No, they still do.
Yeah, they still do. They just don't have, like...
They're just not religious, they're secular.
Exactly.
They're effigies to the Emperor's glory
in
in a totally non-religious way.
In addition to that, you have 3 more light cruisers, Lunar class, the Feathers Eternal, the Castigation of Venus, and the Emperor's Word. 16 escorts, that's 3, mostly like 6 torpedo destroyers in a couple of variants, and 10 regular generalist escorts. 30 transports for your attached Imperial Army troops, and a single mass conveyor, which holds the Titans. I have posted the fleet in Discord also.
Oh.
Any other questions or like formation things or queries about your force composition?
I'm
The
really bad at
mainland has 6 major ports.
Sorry, what were you saying?
You
I like the idea of attacking all the ports at once and
Yeah.
propose it.
I was going to suggest that we get the Augur Eraser scan for any major military installations and bombard them along with.
Yeah. Did anyone...
You actually have
Sorry.
a basic scouting report, so you can ask questions about the map also if you want to know about specific settlements.
Or
So carry on.
for our assigned auxiliary units, are they merely Imperial Army? Do we have any Solar Auxilia with us?
You just have Imperial Army.
Shame.
How many army boys do we have?
The exact numbers are in flux, so what I've done is separate them into battle groups. Generally, your Imperial Army troops, Imperial Army forces roll at 40 or under, but everyone gets a buff skill. You have Army Group Alpha, which consists of a large number of Alkis Grenadiers. There's some sort of tens to low hundreds of thousands of them, but they're chiefly younger and more inexperienced recruits. A lot of them will have been mustered specifically to split off into your expeditionary fleet.
Do we have any more Space Marines other than the 101 who are currently here?
Not in the fleet, no.
Not in the fleet, no. So we are the only Space Marines, bar the 6th Legion as well, which is around.
Yes, the 6th Legion is operating in the area, but like, unless they're floating emptily through the system without letting you know, then it's just you guys.
Okay, cool.
You also have, so you've got 5 army groups in total. So in addition to Army Group Alpha, you'll also have Army Group Beta. That is the single maniple of Legio Clava, and it's 5 Warhound Titans, as well as their supporting Skitarii Techmata. That's, maybe like 20 to 30,000 of them. Sorry, Nicholas?
Can we get it copy-pasted at some
I
point?
will, but I will read them first.
That's fine, yeah.
Army Group Gamma, so there's only like some tens of thousands of them, but they're the actual veteran Alkis Grenadiers. Army Group Delta, that's the Solent Salieteers, regiments mostly suited to close combat, urban warfare, and siege. They're more in the like 50 to 60,000 bracket. And finally, Army Group Epsilon, that's the 22nd Auxiliary Volunteer Corps. Willing and less willing recruits taken from each world the fleet stops off at. Mixed abilities are both their strength and their weakness. Actual numbers for those are vague, and you can also replenish those on world if you can find recruits.
Fodder.
Yeah, they're fodder. You've probably got somewhere between like maybe 200,000 and 500,000 of them. The like exact record keeping there is extremely vague.
Man, these ships must be somewhat large to be holding this many people.
Do you remember you have like 30 transports?
Oh, yeah. So my first suggestion, Brother Captain, would be to have a Navy blockade around... Are we called the Navy at this point? Is it Navy or is it...
Imperialis Armada, but they operate as an arm of the army, which itself is entirely subordinate to the Astartes. So, you can say a naval blockade, it kind of works terminology-wise.
Well,
I would say we start a blockade around the planet with our 16 escorts and our 3 light cruisers poised over the major population centers. Not poised exactly over them, but in orbit, sort of around the major islands, I suppose.
All of you will... Oh, sorry, Ollie.
That was it. That was all I was going to suggest for the Brother Captain.
Brother Captain, I would disagree. I would say that diplomacy would be the first port of call here. This is a civilized world. We could quite easily convince them of the ease and accessibility, as well as the rewards of just joining the Imperium on their own volition.
I don't disagree with Coayah, but I do not think there is any harm in us, having escorts and stuff, and our cruisers placed around in such a way that they can immediately take advantage. They can immediately stop any mass exodus that would happen via space travel.
Indeed, diplomacy is often best performed when you have the bigger stick.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, brothers, but we would not wish to present too much of the stick too soon.
We should have a carrot as well, yes.
You will note around several, though not all, of the major population centres, runes flashing indicating that they have present void shielding.
Interesting.
Do we have atmosphere flight fighters?
Yes. Though it's worth noting that you'd primarily have aerospace stuff, and aerospace stuff works on or most aerospace stuff tends to work on planets, though not absolutely all of it, but your stuff would. The issue that it has is that it tends to be, by its nature, larger and heavier, and they perform usually better. It's like being amphibious. They'll perform better in one environment than the other, and it's almost always the void. So when you're fighting in the skies against dedicated planetary aircraft, aeronautic aircraft rather than aerospace aircraft, they have more versatility, they tend to perform better, and they'll have light fighters and interceptors, whereas you only have heavy fighters and such, and things where they can't safely use their max speeds in atmosphere because they'll just immediately catch fire.
Do we have water-going craft?
You do not, actually.
Mm-hmm. And do we know where the Xenos infestations are?
It's a standing order you would have to investigate. You don't actually have any information indicating Xenos infestation, as far as you're aware.
It's just if you see it, shoot it, kill it.
Yeah.
Take it back to experimentation.
It's
ascertain whether or not it can be brought successfully under the purview and umbrella of the Great Crusade. If any resistance is encountered, destroy with extreme prejudice. Great Crusade doesn't actually have a kill-on-sight order for Xenos. You do actually have to investigate. Strangely enough.
How many Space Marine brothers do we have
101 inside the command structure.
101.
101 space nations.
I'm with Coayah on doing. I say we do the diplomacy approach first.
Most definitely. But we should always plan for the worst possible outcome.
Absolutely.
What is their anti-air capabilities and current level of hostility?
Anti-air capabilities likely quite heavy. Actually, they've got a number of dedicated Aeroplex installations, though they do not have a void station of any kind. The closest they've got is the Defiance Aeroplex in the middle of the Voront Desert there. That is able to take grounded spacecraft, but it's quite extreme to land your ship generally. In terms of like defensive capability, the history you have on the world is fairly sparse, but it is somewhat extant. It was until reasonably recently, like the last few centuries, in a somewhat disunited state of war. So the many of the civilizations here are reasonably able to defend themselves, and potentially somewhat likely to do so. There is a ruling political triumvirate with two major partners. Primarily, the ruling classes come from the Marotha Metroplexic in the Spur, up in the northwest. But there's also the Hoiran Principality on its own little island of Hoirantis off to the northeast. Got a bit rambling. In terms of hostility, they do know you're coming, as you had the one-way Vox transmissions hailing you as you entered the system. They seem open to meeting and would be willing to send an embassy. Or to have you, I suppose, land at Defiance Aeroplex is also...
Which locations have void shielding?
Which locations have
You
void
mentioned
shielding?
that
I'll just
earlier.
double check my notes.
I believe you said the major population centres.
Yes, but it's not all of the major population centres.
There's an awful lot of mines, aren't there?
Yes.
I wonder if something interesting happening on the planet. Do we have any deep planetary scans?
Oh, sorry,
Not
wait.
always.
Which icon do you think is... Oh, right, now I see what you think the mines are.
It might just be a mining world, though.
Might just be, but I'm wondering. I'm always slightly suspicious of a lot of mines.
It's good to know about secret tunnels as well, if there's any leading out of town, out of cities and so forth.
I was
Yeah, I'm-
resisting the urge to sing the
I was
song.
about to say, I was about to say, you might be misunderstanding the scope of the campaign, young Nicholas. We should investigate the secret tunnel. We're Astartes.
I
We
mean,
don't investigate
I-
secret tunnels. We kick doors
I-
down.
No, I am aware of that, but we don't get flanked.
I want to request a deep planetary scan, going as deep into the core as we can. I don't know if would that be regarded as hostile? Doing such an invasive scan, would it be detected?
Depends if they can pick it up and what the local culture's like. Some places might understand that that's perfectly reasonable. Some places might go, oh fuck, they're trying to kill us, and launch whatever defensive capabilities they can. I don't think you have that deep a knowledge of their culture right now. Sorry, I was asked a question ago, and a second ago, and I've immediately forgotten what it was before that one.
Void shielding. Who has
Void
it?
shielding, right, cool. So the majority of it is focused around the Marotha Metroplexic. That has 12 separate, fairly heavy-duty Archaeotech layers of void shielding, but they do not cover the entire city. They're focused over, like, separate major parts of... sorry, I'm echoing at someone.
Me.
Yes, so they have 12 fairly heavy-duty Archaeotech layers of... urban void shielding, which are focused over like former major cities that have grown together to form one colossal urban area. Otherwise, other major areas, the port at Zelona is also void shielded and has an immense amount of naval vessels, seagoing. Port and the other two major places are Port Voront, the northeast coast of the central crescent continent, which is almost entirely void shielded, and the Hoiran Principality, which is likewise almost entirely void shielded, and that's also extremely heavy duty stuff.
Do we know anything about the local culture? Especially where the Defiance area, or the I guess the area where we would be landing for our potential meeting face to face?
So they're divided up into a ruling triumvirate that controls the three major land masses, and then through extension of that, and by virtue of the fact that they have the only reliable food, because the planet's weather is quite eclectic elsewhere, they govern the rest of the islands scattered across the world. The ruling party in the triumvirate is the Morothan government, based out of the Morothan Metroplex. They control most of the Crescent continent. That would be Merot Desig, Gralok Desig, Voront Desig, and Telefulis Desig. Though Telefulis Desig is... Yes, Telefulis Desig is somewhat bulkier than the rest. Your initial reports don't go any more detailed than that without further investigation. Otherwise, the next major partner is the Hoiran Principality, based out of Hoirantis to the northeast. They have significantly smaller industrial and military capacity, but they're also like heavily dug in there into the mountainside and quite firmly independent. Basically, the two came to something of an accord. And then finally, in last place, as the third theoretically ruling member of the Triumvirate, you have the civilization based out of Rastik's Mark and its associated minor towns down in Rastik Desig. They were previously the major power on the continent, maybe like a millennia and a half ago. But with the slow rise of Morotha, they were gradually eclipsed, beaten and forced back into their desert homelands. At this point, they're notionally a part of the Triumvirate, but in practice have no, or seem like they have no actual power. Notably, the town of Littling Osset within the Desig that contains them isn't actually a Rastic colony. It's a colony from Zelona, which is an extremely Morothic loyalist city, and it's there to sort of neuter trade heading for Rastik's Mark. I can drill down into like other cultural aspects of various bits if anyone fancies. Any other questions or strategies?
I was just so the main reason I was asking is I wonder what we can send down with us to the delegation that will meet them that will suitably impress them. Will they be the sort of people who would be impressed by a Titan appearing? Will they be the sort of people who would be impressed by just Space Marines or technology numbers? I kind of wonder.
So you've got some basic cultural profiles for the three major cultures. The Hoirans are characterized as likely centers of resistance and quite paranoid, so they're likely to react quite poorly to a show of military force. The Rastics are tied up, or at least seem to be tied up, quite heavily in local politics and are likely to support or not support the Imperium based on how you interact with other cultures. Namely, they're being oppressed by two others, the Hoirans and the Morothans, so their reception kind of depends on that, whether they see you as liberators or conquerors. And then the Morothans, who seem significantly more like more willing to accept the Imperium, though at the same time they were cautious with the initial scouting mission.
Oh, you're muted, Nick.
I wonder what we are officially authorized to be able to offer in terms of parlaying a compliance.
Is a good question. What are you thinking of?
Well, trade rights, favourable representation, etc. What things they might want to join the Imperium.
They get to keep their lives and they'll be happy about it, God damn it!
But to their faces, you're like, yes, we'll give you all the crops and food.
How did you know?
Oh, been playing games with you for half a decade now. Sometimes I feel like I just know.
Outside of be happy that we haven't stomped you into the ground with our Astartes-ness, what are we allowed to offer them? Trade rights, various other, intricacies of politics, minutiae.
The kind of standard, you get to mostly just keep your planet and city how it is. We can offer maybe support for conquering the other more hesitant nations, and as long as you subscribe to the imperial the imperial way of life, and are they doing tithes right now? Do we take?
Yes.
Do we have any connected rogue trader dynasties to our fleet that are either following along or are around operating in the area?
You do not at the moment.
You
could, like, military assistance is actually something you can very readily offer because that's a thing that you have. For that, you need to like pick a nation that you want to go. We'll help you fight the other two. The Morothans are unlikely to go in for that, for the record, because they already dominate the Triumvirate. So you'd be offering to help them. Like, you might convince them, but they already beat the Rastics, and they couldn't beat the Hoyrans, but they couldn't win the war, but they've won the peace, if that makes sense. Like, there's not much further they can grow. In terms of trade rights and things, you can offer them favourable trade rights. They are scheduled to be used as a way station, basically. So that wouldn't be the best situation because you kind of long-term are looking a little bit to disenfranchise them. You can offer them, I would think, technological support, defenses from alien raiders.
We could do the classic thing of going down and asking, hey, do you need a hand with anything? Where is your board of quests you can give us?
It's more as well, you say we're looking to disenfranchise them. That said, if they're looking to be a way station for the Imperial Army and or the Imperium just in general...
They're not. You're looking to make them a way station.
Even if we're looking to make them a way station, that does involve some measure of disenfranchisement. There's potentially a lot of money to be made for people who are in control of industry and or industry, agriculture, other things on planet. There's a lot of money to be made from selling things to the Imperium if they're looking to make you a way station. That could be our way in, of just basically going up to the ruling classes of the Triumvirate and going, look, we want to use these, our plans are to expand past this world. The people who are in charge are going to make a lot of money resupplying us.
I think it's probably the best bet for, getting them to work with us. And then we can ask them if they require assistance in anything, perhaps.
We guarantee security, plus offer them a large financial benefit. Plus, we can try and are we allowed to grant warrants of trade at this point in time, or not?
You can't
we can't. But we can try and offer trade rights for rogue trader dynasties to bring even more riches to the world.
I think those are probably just getting underway at this point. Like, they're not unknown, but I don't think you'd be, aware of what they do or how to... They'd seem a bit weird to you because they're kind of outsourcing your job. So it's probably not the thing that you look on super favourably at this point, because it's only been 10 years.
Fair.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Creed?
What's the general population?
Oh, I didn't actually note this down somewhere. I can hear Carl salivating at the thought of mass death in the background. Oops, sorry. Maybe I didn't note this down. We'll say it's probably somewhere in the region of maybe between 750 million and 1 billion, with a fair amount of people also scattered across the assorted islands around the world, the sort of more minor places.
Is it bad I noted that as 2.8 billion out of 2.8 billion?
Yes, you
I'm
work with numbers
to go down. It's like, how much have we killed? Where should we stop?
What would be the combined population of just these areas we're attacking? Or, brokering peace with?
Maybe deduct 100 million for the rest of the world. So the vast majority of the population lives here.
And do we have an idea of the rough military population?
You'd have some guesstimates penciled in, but they're very obviously guesstimates. So what will have happened is a scouting mission visited the world, did some basic recon and meet and greet stuff, and then sent the information back and moved on. So sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, you finish.
Oh yeah. So just the information that you've already got is to an extent questionable. Like, you don't know how much of this is reliable and how much of it isn't. This is what the reports that you have say. But the reports you have are like, someone had between a month and 2 months to look over the entire world, send a report via astropath, and then skip on to the next one.
Should we get down there? Part of me does want to bring a Titan with me, sort of stand behind us as we talk to them.
One of those ones where
No.
we'll need to send messages and overtures to the various factions to create a meeting point. We can't just drop in on them.
That's the idea. They've already said Defiance Aeroplex. It's like
They are prepared for either way. You can either take an embassy onto your flagship, if you're comfortable doing that, or you can land something at the Defiance Aeroplex. If you want to have
land something at a Defiance Aeroplex, I feel.
something big with engines, many of them. Creed, were you going to say something?
Do we have knowledge on, or could find out if they have any sort of cultural icons, Eiffel Towerish, for some morale crippling in the future?
This actually was mentioned in the reports. So Arag, the island to the southwest. Is it actually called Arag, or is that just the desert? Let me just double check. Yeah, Arag Island, the island to the southwest, is uncharacteristically cold for its position, and is sort of, for most of the cultures involved, is equal parts like cursed sacred spot and prison camp. The exception being Hoirantis doesn't seem to value it in the same way as the Crescent does.
Okay. And am I right? The squares are anti-air areas, correct?
No, squares simply... 4 squares at a time simply mark large population centres.
There's a key down
Yes,
there.
Key down the bottom.
Yeah, my squares are more just areas of interest for the squares, and circles are shielded areas.
It's extremely
I see.
It's worth noting, I guess, in that case, that technically speaking, most of Zelona is not shielded. It's the docks that are
Yeah. And the big one in the top left is more like a load of little shields bunched up.
Yeah, I got that down,
So,
yeah.
you could, if you bombarded Marotha, most of the city would survive, but you'd also, wreck giant bits where the shield bubbles don't overlap.
Brother Captain.
Do we know we don't know a lot about their culture, about their politics.
Just
We
discuss the
just
politics.
explained it, mate.
And
Yeah.
is it heavily corrupted? Is it heavily industry kind of driven? Is it more kind of culturally driven?
That's economics, not politics.
Fair enough, economics then. My apologies.
No, I mean, fair. Cool. So the report didn't note any evidence of corruption, but again, they had a fairly brief time to scan, and that can be difficult if it's not obviously overt. Or at least no evidence of major corruption that they could see. In terms of economics, so the majority of the world's industry is concentrated basically in the northern areas of the Crescent. That's Marotha, Metroplexic, Rakik, and Port of Orant. That's also where a lot of the mining happens. Hoirantis is somewhat economically and industrially independent, but it's also somewhat economically and industrially isolated, generally. Rastic does have an output primarily of Promethium, but it's also heavily tithed for the industries off in Gralok, Voront, and Merot Desix. The, I suppose, interesting thing to re-note then, if you're asking about economics, would be that the majority of the world's food supply comes from Telephulus Desig. So they do have fish, or at least fish. Telephulus Desig. They do have fish, or at least fish equivalent, in the ocean. They can get food out of it, but the weather, the further you get away from the Crescent, is extremely unreliable. There's a lot more typhoons and such out there, which makes it much more difficult to fish en masse. You can definitely sponsor small populations, but not extremely large ones. Which means that as Telephulus contains most of the arable land available, unless you have the ability to make vast amounts of disgusting nutri-paste, you sort of need to control Telephulus in order to control the rest of the world, which is partially why Marotha's managed to dominate things. Or at least, again, this is the, like, we had 2 months to do our giant thesis on this world document laid down by the scouts, who were notionally there on a diplomatic mission, but also doing, like, low-grade surface spying.
Okay.
Brother Sergeant, shall we land?
He always does keep calling you Brother Sergeant. You've been a captain.
Sorry, Brother
for 10
Captain.
years.
You know what I mean. I mean it. You know what I mean. Maybe I'm just thinking back to the
I know what you
funly.
mean, Ollie, and it's what you said. Sorry, why am I doing my inner voice? Yeah, no, I'm just having fun.
I want to land, yes, but need to come up with a clear strategy of how we're going to approach this.
Perhaps you should...
What are we going to target? What are we going to barter with? What do they need? What do we want?
I suggest our first mission is not one of bartering, but instead just of getting to know one another. We can ascertain more in a face-to-face meeting with the Defiant Zeraplex than we would be able to from our spy reports.
Yes,
Then after that,
know
we
what
can...
we want when we get down there. Even though it might be to get to know each other, we need to know what we want to know about them. So what do we have at the moment, and what do we want to know? So what gaps do we have in our knowledge?
I think...
So I think we're missing some cultural bits. We know a little bit, but not a lot. I think...
What's their technological level?
Yeah.
They're not too far behind the general Imperial standard. Like, they're not at Terran levels, but they sort of meet about the average that you would expect for a civilized world that was plunged into Old Night and has since worked its way out of it. So they've got las guns, they've got your standard suite of mostly accessible STC vehicles. There's nothing super revolutionary other than perhaps a few Archaeotech installations scattered around the place, the void shielding being some of the big ones. And even that is probably scavenged from somewhere else on the world.
You also do have the anomalous structures, which probably designate some sort of religious...
those are a bit of an oddity. They turn up... God, what's a sensor called? It's just a sensor, isn't it? Yeah. So they turn up erratic and honestly erroneous results on your sensors. Just pure nonsense information.
And that is, the entire island is freezing cold. I would say it's not a logical leap to assume that something to do with those anomalous structures potentially influencing the climate of that island.
Your scouts were... There are also a fair number of cold winds hitting it, but certainly not enough to account for its freezing cold. Your scouts were unable to visit the anomalous structures. They sort of basically have them circled and marked as temples ? In the report, but they weren't even allowed on Arag, let alone out of the Tethic prison camps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, if talks fail, we've highlighted where they get their food from. We've highlighted, obviously, the main cities and their alliances, and where they're most heavily defended. Now,
one question actually. Then, just what's their major production center? Like, where are all their weapons produced?
They honestly have a fair number of these. Port Voront is heavily militarized. The Marotha Metroplexic is heavily industrialized, which includes some military. The Hoyan Principality is mostly independent and economically, which means it also is producing its own weaponry. The areas which are mostly are not producing their own arms are the ones where you wouldn't want to let them do it in case of rebellion. So that's Talisho and a lot of Telefulis Desig. That's Rastik's Mark in Rastik Desig. Which means the only major population centers which aren't really producing their own weapons and also don't have access to it. In fact, the only one would be Zelona, really. Zaragot and Rakik would have access through Marotha and Port Voront.
So, Voront are one of the major cities, right?
Yes, they're noted for being fiercely loyal to the Marothans.
3, 4, 5. Just thinking about who to go see first and if we split the party.
Well, they're a ruling triumvirate. We
Yeah.
would see the ruling triumvirate.
If you land at Defiance Aeroplex, which I suppose you could land elsewhere, you've got multiple aeronautic craft. You could send down separate embassies if you wanted to. It would just be a bit of a scandal, especially as there actually are aeroplexics at every one of the ruling triumvirate cities settlements.
Let
yes,
us merely just go and see. Let us just go to the ruling triumvirate. They rule this world anyway. We might as well keep them that way.
Agreed. Okay. Let's go to the Defiance Aeroplex. Aeroplex? That's the one. And see.
Can we bring our weapons with us, brother captain?
We are the weapons.
Oh, chills.
I mean, that's a very good point. Okay, so you arrange to have it voxed back as your meeting on the bridge draws long into the ship's night. You arrange to have it voxed back to Galifas that you'll be sending a delegation to the Defiance Aeroplex on X day, and they'll arrange to have people there to meet you in a grand ceremony.
Can I make a request to a shipwide? It's not a shipwide, a fleet-wide request for experienced negotiators and I guess the equivalent of a Xenos psychologist or behaviorologist? Not that the people here are Xenos, but
I want to ask the Mechanicus if they want me to get a plant in there for them. Let's do some mechanical spying.
Oh, I didn't.
Brother, I believe we of the command squad can handle the negotiations.
I have forbidden knowledge Xenos, if that helps.
You have what, brother?
Nothing. This is out of character, though. Because Ollie asked for someone that knows Xenos behaviour and such. So.
I know, but this is why you can talk in Techmarine terms.
You're supposed to have You're supposed to have a specific forbidden knowledge Xenos, no?
Didn't say so.
No, it's just Xenos.
That's Dark Heresy has a specific. It might be that
not having a specific.
This is modelled on the Deathwatch books, where you are a space marine who is almost.
I think so. So Deathwatch Forbidden Law Xenos is meant to cover things like you've already encountered a fuck ton of alien species. You've gone around and fucked a lot of shit up. You've read a lot of shit about them. It's like a generalized forbidden knowledge. Is how I would.
It's to have less speciality for the Xenos specific experts. I'm just having a speedy look.
It's less that, I think, and more to reflect the fact that you're a space marine spending literal centuries fighting aliens, so you would have more stuff.
Discuss your who's going on the delegation between you whilst I look this up real quick. In terms of negotiators, you as the command squad, you are Astartes, you are here to negotiate.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just thinking, it might be handy if someone starts going off at us, but it might be worth bringing a detachment of some sort of show of military power, maybe just not like an overt "we're going to kill you," but we're
Space Marines. Everything is an overt "we're going to kill you."
Yeah, I suppose it's not.
I would like to not attend to the negotiation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will also, unfortunately, going to request Mackie doesn't go along as Mr. Heavy Weapons.
I think I have the highest fellowship in the group.
What do you have?
I have 40. You might be 45, right?
I got 45. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. In which case, that should be fine then. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I will point out I'm not trained in charm, so that may slow me down somewhat.
We've all got basic training in charm.
Do we? Yeah.
Yeah, we all have
we
basic
do.
Basic fellowship is my dump stat. I have no bedside manner.
Yeah.
Fucking
I will send Mechanicum Plant and Sebjeb in my place.
Damn it. What was I going to say? Cool, yeah, the Mechanicum... who are you asking the Mechanicum, for the record? Because you have two possible options. You have Magos Manabi Virith, the ultra-conservative Orthodox Magos from last time, and then I suppose the Chief Princeps of the Legio Clava, who doesn't have a name if the party would like to name him.
Bubbles.
I'm not calling him Bubbles.
That's our pet name for him.
Which one's the ship admech who I kept trying to buddy up with?
That's Manabi Virith.
Yeah, I want to go to him.
We'll call him
I have not given up on my failing over and over again attempts.
Alright, there you go. It's Chief Princeps Charles with an S. For
also known as Bubbles.
verisimilitude. I mean, it's a standing fact that Ollie is just banned from naming things, so...
Yeah, we know.
I'm gonna lie, the idea of just like this guy, like I have now in my mind's eye is like a really high pitched voice as well. So he's like, "I am a commander of the Legio around here."
Yeah, that's
Come
better
on,
than me.
Bubbles.
Are you
Fucking
gonna make fun of
dickest
the...
sketch from one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
What was that?
Well, after like, you know, Monty Python. Yeah.
Dickest.
We have the notes.
Magos Manabi Virith basically flips out at you when you go to speak to him, Coatlmox. The same as he always flips out whenever you go to speak to him about anything.
I will be sending my own emissary down. Me.
Right.
Is this one of those you can't fire me because I quit moments?
You can't technically fire him because he doesn't work for you.
Well, no, I mean, like, you can't send me down because I'm going down because I want to.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Questionable. I will take a scrutiny roll, please, Coatlmox.
Sure. Do I have that? Find out in a moment. It won't matter.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, his face is just a giant mess of whirring, tiny mechanical T-Rex arms and visors at this point, so it's very difficult to understand his emotions. He looks like nothing so much as a colossally maimed robot prawn.
Purify them!
He has final say on techie stuff, correct? That's what.
Theoretically, it's more that he has override. He acts like he has final say. In practice, he can countermand basically anything you say, which means he can have final say if he abuses his power, which he frequently does.
I wanted to ask his opinion on Titan deployment if we get to battle.
He squints several of his face visors at you.
We must not risk the god machines.
Does everyone who hears the word god machines bristle slightly at that?
Couple.
Yeah, and also, what's the fucking point of them if you don't? If you got them, you might as well use them.
Surely we could use them to secure the most precious technology we need to reclaim.
It is, to be fair, not standard practice to active drop Titans into unsecured battle zones. The time they are most vulnerable is loading and unloading onto their defenseless mass conveyors.
I feel like that's a major weak point there, and something we should address.
Yes.
I'm going to orbitally drop Titans on them.
I mean, you could, I suppose, have a go at it. Titan princeps are usually into this type of thing.
We have drop pods. Drop pods are a thing here.
Yes,
Titan
but
drop pod.
they don't make Titan-sized drop pods.
No,
Yeah,
it's one
drop
we had
thing.
Marine once.
I don't think you do currently. You do have hangar bays on the Obsidian Heart now. I've actually done a map for the internals of it, but it's supposed to be set a bit further in the future, so it's a bit less than that now. You also have boarding torpedoes mounted on some of your torpedo destroyers.
Can you imagine the idea of us just using a boarding torpedo onto the ground, then just opens up, there we are, we walk out to the designation. No way of getting back up again unless we send a dropship down, which looks significantly less cooler, but, you know.
Actually, at this point, the legions are still using Dreadclaws, I believe. Yes.
Yep.
Which means you do have a way of getting back up. So the original drop pods that were in use were Dreadclaws, and their shtick is they actually can, like, they can take off again after they land. The issue is there's something wrong in the design, and when the Heresy hit, they, like, almost invariably sided with the traitors and would work perfectly for Chaos Alliance forces and absolutely against Imperial forces. So they've got really dickish machine spirits.
They look like a giant eye, and they have, I mean, there's, how many is it, the 8-sided star? They have like 5, points. It's only 3 less than they need really to be chaos, marks of chaos. I can see it. I understand why.
So do we have these?
Yes, you wouldn't even have standard drop pods. These would be the thing that
Legion
you would have instead of
Dreadclaws.
them. Yeah, you'd have Legion Dreadclaws.
Cool.
Yeah, no,
What happens when one of those hits a void shield?
It goes boom.
yeah, you generally have to take void shields down before you can board. But then that's also partially why a lot of ships don't get into the physics of void shields too much because it stops them being fun, honestly. But you generally ram people to get in boarding range or like take their shields down momentarily and then get a Dreadclaw. through the gapped shield.
Also, for future reference, while Admech Boy's down at the delegation, I'm definitely going to snoop around his office while I'm not at the delegation.
Yep,
You're totally going to get fired whilst he's doing that.
he, by all rights, should probably be on the conveyor the mass conveyor that carries the Titans. But he actually spends most of his time in the Forge Shrine aboard the Obsidian Heart, which means you do in fact share a working space. And breaking into his office is as simple as breaking into a Magos secured office, but he's not that far away from you. Cool, yes. So he's not down for sending the Titans down unless you know the zone is secured, because if you lose 5 Titans...
Oh boy, would that be
That's a bad. Yeah.
Bad. I mean, like, depending on where they get shot down, you can potentially salvage them, but if nothing else, it's bad. It's a bad look for your very first deployment.
Yeah. We've been very naughty boys.
Not that the Magos cares about that, but he doesn't want to lose his Titans. And other than that, he is now committed to going down himself.
I'll tell Coatlmox that I'll keep an eye on him, and then remember that Coatlmox's name is the Eyeless, and wonders privately if he could have kept an eye on him, even though he still has 2 working eyes now.
I'd like to get my eyes on him. Bam!
Just literally place your eyes on him. They are removable, I presume.
No, they're wired into his frame.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, you don't have to tie directly into the optic nerve.
Can I gather together the 5 best Space Marines at fighting to form an honor guard for us?
That's you guys.
No, I meant from my gladiator pit competition.
Yes, sure. There is one unfortunate snag to that. One of the best fighters that you have remaining is Brother Michelko, who is the last surviving member of your rival squad, the 101st member of the company, who is permanently stuck in the remedial squad, which is just him.
He must have cheated.
He must be real fucking pissed.
I like it now.
Brothers, we should really remove him from that.
Nope.
It's not professional. Come now, brothers, be reasonable.
How about we use this campaign as an opportunity for him?
Exactly.
One final test.
Exactly. If he can meet our combined kill count, we'll provide it.
In any case, I would like to bring him along as part of the honor guard.
I'm gonna request not for this one. No, not for this initial one. I don't think. Everyone else?
Are you informing the captain of your choice?
Oh, that's a good point.
What, of bringing him along as part of the honor guard?
Yeah.
No. Why would I?
That was just me clarifying to see if the captain actually knew in character. And why would you? Is because the honor guard is presumably notionally, for the captain and the command squad, and he's in charge. Just for the record, I know you don't respect him at all.
Yeah, it's the word notionally in that.
Really, Benji's like that. They're there to protect me.
Fair, yeah. So you bring along the 5 best fighters in the Legion, including one who hates you, but you at least have grudging respect for him.
It's not to protect me. It's to inspire. We're bringing together the cream of our Astartes corps.
Okay. And then, in addition to that, in the next 5 to 10 minutes at most, and after that you're just going to launch ready or not, I would like to hear who is in your delegation to the surface, and what are they doing in terms of, weapons, uniforms, etc. Are you going down there with no uniforms? Are you going down there in just power armor? Are you carrying weapons? How are you playing this? Generally.
I would like to go down in full armor sans helmet, which I will be carrying under my arm.
Are we going to Funky Town?
I would like to be going down in ceremonial robes. However, I would like the honor guard that I bring along with me to be in armor with ceremonial chainsword.
Do our armors have colors to denote that we are of we're the command structure now?
We probably have just bling.
Yeah,
use that bling.
Yeah, I'm going down, same as Benji, ceremonial robes, no weapons.
Okay, and Coatlmox, just to double check, are you still sending Seb?
Yes. I basically just want him to record stuff for me.
This is. I guess he presumably went off on training with you, so we'll say he's got standard Mechanicus implants, so he'll have his optical mechadendriter going.
Have you got some mooks come down with us as well?
You're landing a ship, so depending on which ship you want to land, yes.
I presume we'd be taking a stormbird.
You can also take a stormbird, but folks were talking about landing a voidcraft earlier.
I like the idea of landing a fuck off voidcraft.
Should they ascribe to take minutes?
Should you what, sorry?
Take a scribe to take minutes.
Yeah, so you can assume that that'll be there.
Cool.
Let's double check in with Kuzco. Kuzco, what are you doing? I didn't hear if you were going with the delegation or not.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between, like, part of me wants to go, but also other not, because I know that I'm just going to take the piss.
You guys do this, I'll be right back.
Fair. I mean, you could do a dice toss for it if you like. And, like, if you don't respect the negotiations here, like, you clearly want to just invade the place. This is your first big chance as a company to, like, do battle by yourselves. It does feel a bit weak that you're going to, you know, let words settle it when you've got all this fancy tech.
Oh, I just want to say I want to include my bolt pistol as the only weapon on me. Maybe like a hip holster or something.
Fair. Are you going with the delegation or not, Kuzco?
I'm going to go with the delegation. I'm going to be fully armoured up, but can I do, like, Dark Angel style outer robes on it, like, just to try and be a little fancier?
Ooh, that's a good shout. I was wondering about like capes and shit. I was thinking like having the entire ceremonial robes over the armour.
I mean, it would probably be different robes, but sorry, Nicholas.
I'll inform Kuzco no weapons, though.
Oh, so you want no bolt pistol on me either?
No.
Oh, fine. Yeah. Fine. What about the honor guard?
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable going down to a potentially hostile planet unarmed, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm your heavy weapons guy. I like having a weapon on me at all times, and a small bolt pistol feels like it would be appropriate.
A small bolt pistol is a fuck huge gun to literally anyone
Yeah,
else.
that's the thing. And we have an honor guard, and we are space marines. So.
Is the honor guard armed?
They have ceremonial chainswords, but that's it.
Well, that's just our kick-ass chainswords, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, but also they are honor guard. I think people doing the actual negotiating shouldn't have any weapons on.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I'll take it. I voice my concern to the brother captain that this makes me uncomfortable, but I will go along with the ruling.
Okay.
So,
allow armor if you really want it, but no obvious weapons.
It's fair. So it sounds like they're...
Oh, you said no obvious weapons. Ha ha! There's a loophole!
Yes, there is, if you really want.
Takes out the Astartes combat dagger, which is just a sword to most people.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking Buster swords.
I say it's ceremonial, that makes it okay.
My ceremonial bolt pistol.
No,
I mean, it's pretty clear the difference between a ceremonial sword and a non-ceremonial sword if you're that close. Like, one of them's sharp, usually.
Well, the issue is, when you're a space marine, it's have to be sharp.
What's
Even when you're not a space marine, it doesn't have to be sharp.
Sorry, what's got?
Oh, they're doing weapons. Okay, so the honor guard's going to be fully armored and carrying weapons. You and Nazeem are going down just in robes, and then Kuzco and Maccy are going down in armor but with robes over the top.
Oh, I don't want robes over the top. I'll do like a cape or something if that's a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no. I'll take the robes. Yeah, because it just makes me a bigger, more imposing version of the guys.
It's like a fully robed space marine. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Though, are we like neon pink robes?
Yes. Yes, we are.
They're not neon. If nothing else, they're not neon pink. You had vomit pink was your colour.
Like,
sort of a family thing.
Yeah, like puce. Sorry, Cread. Cread, Carl.
I was going with, like, you know, the standard, like, beigey sort of robes just over the neon armor. But if we're having neon robes as well, then, I mean, okay.
God, let me grab the picture from fucking the chat to remind you of what your colours are. Which is someone pointed this out to me the other day, that you have the exact same colours as your standard Battenberg, and I can't unsee it.
Yeah. Like, yeah, no, like, I get the armor's like that, but like I say, it was just like I thought it was going to be plain robes.
I also was picturing plain robes.
I was picturing plain robes, like white robes or something, yeah.
Fair.
I was hoping for that anyway.
Which,
Glorious
unfortunately,
armor
is still within Battenberg.
Oh god, I
colour
want some
scheme.
Battenberg now. Like,
Fucking-
fuck, why did you mention that?
I also kind of want some Battenberg. Bugger. Okay, cool. And also, it was no weapons. Benji was the other thing that your captain stipulated for anyone other than the other honor guard.
Okay, that's fine.
Cool. In that case, your final question then will be: how are you getting down to the planet? Are you taking a stormbird, or are you landing a craft of some kind?
Difference between a stormbird and landing aircraft.
Stormbird is... you remember you landed on Venus in a stormbird. So a stormbird is a large aerospace vehicle, but it's not that big. You can fit like several dozen Marines in one. Maybe 50 actually, so it is quite big. But a stormbird is like a gigantic plane, whereas your smallest escort is still like 2 to 3 kilometers long, I believe.
Jesus, okay.
If we land
So if you land a craft, you're landing a void craft. But
Yeah.
there is space to do it at the Defiance Aeroplex. It's right next to
would
it.
it destroy or
it's just-
damage the Aeroplex, though, if we did land a void craft
it's
there?
It's just much easier to send down a stormbird.
It would
I'm
not-
thinking of the power play.
I think we should go void craft.
I think we should go stormbird. If we need to get out of there in a hurry, a stormbird is way better than trying to take
That
off
was gonna be
in
my
a
next
void
question.
craft from the goddamn planet.
But also,
Yeah.
a void craft is pretty much going to be immune to, I would imagine, most weapons they can fire at us.
Stormbird are going to be pretty... Like, you've got to bring some serious hurt.
Yeah.
Not quite as serious as getting through a void shield, to be fair.
Not quite as serious as getting through a void shield, but you have got to bring some pretty big guns out to hurt a stormbird.
Yeah. Although I also suppose like the best ship you have for landing would be the Obsidian Heart, which, as noted in the intro, currently looks like shit and probably isn't the type of thing you want to land to look impressive.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Firebird, I think.
Stormbird.
Stormbird, sorry, yeah.
You can have Firebird variants if you like. What do you picture the Firebird variant as being, Nicholas? What is its difference?
Does it look like a Pontiac?
It's Storm.
PT Cruiser.
It's slightly lighter with but it's armed with flamers rather than anything else. So it's made for landing, flaming a landing
Nicholas,
area.
Nobody is putting flamers on a stormbird.
We are.
Correction, no one used to put flamers on a Stormbird. This is a...
No, sorry, we have an ultra-conservative Magos.
Yep.
No
He's
ultra-conservative
not happy.
Magos is going to put... No,
No,
You-
he's-
young
he's-
Nicholas,
He's
young
not
Nicholas.
happy.
that is the equivalent of taking a whole bunch of deodorant cans
Yep.
and attaching a lighter to them and putting them on an airplane wing. All it's going to do is trail some pretty looking fire behind it.
No,
Stormbirds come with turbo laser destructors.
No.
They do not come with
It's
fucking
fairly
flame
landing
Let's
zone.
be strictly fair. There are Titan-sized flamers. You can absolutely put Titan-sized flamers on a plane. There is no good reason why you would.
No, you can't, because the Titans are too big. They would make the plane too heavy. B,
No, it's fine. You just reduce storage capacity. It's already got huge amounts.
B,
I agree with you. This is a
flamers
thoroughly
do not work on planes.
this is a thoroughly dumb idea, but
Any other weapon, just not a. Why not Volkites? Why don't we
Not-
put Volkites on it
so
and call
you'll be
it
taking the Firebird down.
Are we doing Firebird, Nick?
Well, you're not going to set fire when you land. You just have the option.
Melter as a compromise?
Melter? I'll go with Melter.
No, we've already had
Big
Firebird
melter
canonized
cannons.
now.
Big melter cannons are fine. Volkites, melter cannons, anything.
We've already had Firebird. Well, you know what? Actually, no. I was going to give it to Creed, but he'll be reasonable. No, we've had fire. Like I like the dumb flamer plane. It's the worst idea in the world.
I go with Melter.
So you're heading down there in your Firebird. Little bit cramped due to the giant Promethean tanks on the inside of the crew quarters.
I'd like it pointed out that this was a Nick not thinking idea, not a in character idea.
I think it's brilliant. It is the single Firebird in existence. You made exactly one was converted, and then it was pointed out that this is the worst possible idea.
I'd just like to say that I've been laughing in hysterics, but in that sort of like sad, like, oh my god, why sort of laughing.
I don't know if you can see Ollie on cam shitting himself muted, but like I also as well actually like my face hurts from the smiling, and like every one of Benji's criticisms is entirely valid, but holy fuck.
I reckon we go for the nice midway point for something like phosphor blasters.
Like I say, any
Chemical
other
flamers.
gun. Any other gun. Chemical flamers would actually be fine because you could bombing run napalm onto people.
No, that's
didn't say
why
the one.
that's why you only made one. So you're taking the FIREBIRD down.
Now, I don't
At
like the
least-
point. I was
is-
very happy going for melters. Ewan is forcing us to stick with flamers.
Because you went for flamers. This is good
Can we
plot
not-
progression because it's more and more pushing Coayah to go fucking traitor just to get away from the insanity. I'm gonna go join the Iron Warrior. At least over there they know what guns are for.
That is a level of desperation hearing Benji cry, "I'm gonna go join the Iron Warriors."
You reduced me too.
What's a gun?
He's a dedicated Fists fan. Oh dear.
Dedicated fister, eh?
So, the delegation is gathered together, and as you reach the void floating over Galifas, you gather aboard the single FIREBIRD in your complement. Coyah's teeth grinding as he enters the craft, as they always do when he so much as catches sight of this monstrous abomination and its complete tactical irrelevance. The only thing it can do exactly two things: questionably clear very specific landing sites in open fields, and two, look damned good when it needs to take off and just flood the area with fire. And that's about it. And he hates this fucking plan.
It will leave a memorable impression.
Yes, that we're all incompetent idiots who don't understand how planes work.
Exactly, and doesn't that scare them?
It will show off our
No!
excessive resources that we can make something like this, right?
Yes, we can do this shit.
Oh, I'm still getting slayed by this. This is amazing.
Even with the twin colossal Promethean tanks for the giant underslung rotating flamer turrets, we'll give them...
To be fair, as we're descending, if they're underslung and they can rotate, we can always
Right,
point the flames behind us and look fucking...
No,
I
we're gonna
want
spin
you.
on.
I want you to know this. You just made me wake up, Rosie, because of my rage over your insanity. I'm now having to apologise to my wife because of you. You're strapping flamers to a plane. Drove me to such rage.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
so,
Okay.
the five of you, as well as assorted attending civilian adjutants, and your 5 honor guards, including a man whose name I remember, Brother Mishiko, and also actually should probably be heading down there with you, your attached fleet's remembrancer, Hosetta Carling,
Oh yeah, we have those things.
a
Oh.
recently arrived painter known for her sweeping vistas.
Can we commission a painting upon our arrival of us stepping out to greet the delegation?
You don't really get to pick what the remembrancers do. The remembrancers do the thing.
You know, but we can always commission an extra work.
I mean, you can ask her, but also, like, she's there for her own inspiration, and maybe this will inspire her. The important thing is she'll get to see your momentous accounts. Momentous accounts, momentous deeds, and account for them in her own paintings, whatever they may be. The trip down from orbit is relative... Sorry, I'm echoing on someone. The trip down from orbit is relatively pleasant. Unlike many, many, many previous campaigns, in fact all, as you wouldn't have been conducting negotiations prior to this by and large, you're not dogged by anti-air fire. You don't have attached Imperial Army troops taking hits for you in the skies in their decoy craft. And instead it's a very peaceful transit down from the orbiting Obsidian Heart to the Defiance Aeroplex. The craft judders as it hits the ground. the doors begin to slowly crank open. And in front of you is arrayed the Galifan delegation. There's several hundred of them. A number of very obviously ceremonial troops, though they do appear to be wielding very live, very obvious weapons, as well as 3 individuals. An elderly man, an elderly woman, and a younger woman. The younger woman is at the rear left, the elderly man is at the rear right, and the older woman is in the rear middle. Rear middle is in the front middle. They can't all be in the rear.
They're all just going backwards, like them keep trying to take steps back.
You do it. You take it. No. The woman in the centre bows low as she sees your craft open. Men of terror, welcome to Galifas. Your honour guards troop out automatically, arranging themselves to either side of the landing ramp, weapons held ready. What do?
I'd like to greet them back.
You're muted, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, proceed down the ramp and greet them back.
Okay. Your captain, which of you is quicker off the bat there, actually? Is that Coayah or Nazeem who goes first?
I'd like to think I was.
Oh,
Well, I said it first, so...
I'll take an ad roll from the both of you, please. Let's see who goes first.
Fucking
I
word.
was squabbling in front of the door when you're both going to get
It's
stuck,
fucking
aren't you?
ridiculous.
Well, if
Seriously.
I can oppose him, I will.
Well, that's 3 degrees of success.
Yeah, I'm not getting that.
What's your DOS?
3.
Almost.
Sorry, for young Nicholas, I was asking.
1.
1. Okay, so Nazeem, you go to greet them. And quick as a flash, you see in your peripheral vision Coyah's arm flash. How are you greeting them, Coyah? Is it like a salute, a wave, or simply a hearty, booming reply?
I was going to give them the Imperial salute and say, "We greet you, people of Gallifrey."
Sorry, I'm having a line.
I'm assuming I've stepped forwards, about to greet them face to face. He's still back on the ramp. I just slow turn and go,
He's not even still back on the ramp. He's like less than half a step behind you. Like really almost within your, in fact, thoroughly within your personal space as he interrupts as your mouth is opening. You're also the only two just wearing robes, so visually he looks, without any further indicators, about as important as you.
With my my helmet off, I turn back inside the FIREBIRD towards Kuzco and sort of look at him, give him that knowing look that things are going well already. I also then step out of the FIREBIRD.
I take a further step forwards. Greetings, delegation.
May I present Brother
Thank you for
Captain
receiving us.
Nazeem.
You're about to thank them for receiving you when again Coayah cuts you off to present you. You're really going to take that here and now? You're just going to let him cut you off like that? You fly into your automatic, like, thank you for receiving us spiel, but the little voice at the back of your head proverbially grinds its teeth. Maccy and Kuzco sort of trail ever so slightly behind you, but do follow in the end. There's some sort of tense body language going on between the two of them as they non-verbally communicate.
As I come out, I would like to scan over the weapons that they have using my. Oh no, actually, I don't have an appropriate scholastic law. Yeah. See if they have any.
You're trained in standard combat, though. Like you recognise the signature barrels of a number of las guns. It's an unusual pattern, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Mostly, they. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say I have scholastic law, Age of Technology. Could I see if they have any Age of Technology or Dark Age of Technology weaponry?
Yeah, I was going to say
They do. They have las guns.
Technology, but yeah, las guns are Dark Age of Technology weaponry.
Huh.
Their las guns are a standard STC pattern, in fact. But
Because I mean more Archaeotech weapons that aren't very commonly seen in. But,
it would be difficult to recognize, unless there was something exceedingly obvious. It would be difficult to recognize that at a glance. over a few hundred people, and you don't see anything that looks like, oh, this is so obviously a thing to you.
Oh, I forgot I have forbidden law weaponry. I should probably maybe make that more specific. But
weaponry feels like it would cover it. That would be things like phosphex and rad weapons and such.
Can I roll that then?
Sure. +0.
Yeah, don't make that. 4 degrees of failure.
No, there's too many of them. They're in a variety of ornate dress uniforms. You recognise perhaps 6, 7 different styles. Presumably the ruling members of the Triumvirate and some of the major cities also sending honour delegations. Though you have no easy way of telling which is which. For weaponry, they seem to be almost overwhelmingly armed with assorted varieties of lasgun. You count maybe 2, 3 separate patterns. They're not carrying chainswords or, as you can see, any type of activated power weaponry. A number of the lasguns do have fixed bayonets, but that's about it. Cool. The delegation greets the captain and then sort of turn to his equivalent, co-captain, presumably. And yourself, sir?
Oh, yeah. What rank is he?
Coayah, what rank is he? Technically speaking, he's...
Oh, I am Brother Lieutenant Coayah.
Lieutenant.
I am Brother Lieutenant Coayah, then.
For the record, as far as I know, you've just promoted yourself to lieutenant. I don't think that's...
No, check the diagrams I sent you. Lieutenant is the lowest rank for Space Marine.
For a Space Marine commander. Where's
Space Marine officer, really.
A Space Marine officer, yeah, sorry.
Underneath Brother Captains of each 100 is lieutenants / his command squad.
I don't suppose you can...
Link the image? Not right now.
Fair. Wait, okay, so that is... fair, so that means you are a lieutenant, but in that case, Maccy is also a lieutenant.
We're all...
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean we're all lieutenants, bar Nick?
No, Coatlmox is a Techmarine and Coayah is an Apothecary.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm fine being a lieutenant.
No, it's fair, it's just that... Alright, cool, so lieutenant, that works for me. Yeah, sorry, so he's a lieutenant in that case, so he's...
Who's the right tenant?
Me.
Kill you. It's 40k, so it uses British English. Sorry, Nicholas?
Ollie, you still back behind us, aren't you?
Yes.
Him and Kuzco are like, they're only just trailing behind you. The honor guard's fallen in. You're sort of being led off towards a nearby pavilion. It's quite a grand white and gold tent. But yeah, they're close by. They're not trailing massively.
Jeez. Oh my god, I was about to try to pronounce Ollie's fucking character's full name. I was like, oh god.
Macuiltotec.
Macuiltotec. Okay. Macuiltotec.
I'll put a phonetic thing in Discord. In fact, it's Ollie's thing. You can put a phonetic thing in Discord. Like, he's pronouncing it slightly differently to how I would, but also, like, neither of us speak Nahatal, so...
No.
It's Ollie's character and his pronunciation should win out. I'm just being persnickety.
I'd like to also introduce our other two brothers, Lieutenant Macuiltotec and Brother Kuzco.
Apothecary,
Brother Kuzco.
So you're not introducing Coayah as a lieutenant?
I've already introduced myself.
He introduced himself.
Sorry, I completely blanked.
Yes.
Fair.
Yeah.
You also have Seb sort of trailing along, and in fact, oh holy fuck, I completely forgot. You've got Seb, and then like constantly making sure he stood in front of Seb and telling Seb to get the fuck back. In Technolingua is Manabi Virith, your magos-adjutant.
Yes.
They're like, Seb isn't trying to squabble, Manabi is.
I'll let him have enough room. Just do what he wants. I'll introduce him as well. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name again.
Manabi?
Manabi? What's his full title? Manabi...
He's magos-adjutant Manabi Virith.
I introduced him as such. I'm going to fluff it out. Me and pronunciations are not good.
That's fair. You converse with the locals in a... They speak a fairly stilted form of High Gothic to you. as they lead you towards this nearby pavilion. It is a fairly large white and gold tent. Inside, there are assorted locals playing music. There's a table laid out with perhaps 20, 30 meters worth of food. A very decent spread seems to be on. And at the head of it is another smaller, shorter cross table. The emissaries introduce themselves one by one, but it should be fine for you to refer to them by their official titles as the Morothan emissary, the Hoiran emissary, and the Rastic emissary. The older woman was the Morothan emissary, the older man, the Hoiran emissary, and the younger woman, the Rastic emissary. They bid you welcome to their world, and invite you to learn about their culture and sort of get to know them at a feast in this pavilion. What do?
I'd like to thank them, and so we'd be happy to join them.
And with that, you're sort of whirled, along with many of your delegation, into feast positions. The five of you, the four of you, seven members of your core delegation here. The seven of you at the head table with the rest of the emissaries. And the rest of your delegation and certain important members of theirs scattered along the long table stretching out over the pavilion. What are the Honor Guard doing, Coayah, as they're under your command, or seem to be?
Quick question.
Yeah?
What have they done for chairs for the Astartes?
Literally just about
Astarte, so they have like large benches, and it's questionable whether they'll take your weight.
I would like the Honor Guard to fall in behind us.
Oh,
and,
they've been like fallen in behind you for the walkovers at the pavilion. It's more, what are they doing with regards to the feast?
It depends. I wonder if we're expected to peruse of the feast before or after negotiations.
Before.
Hmm?
Before, they did say.
In which case, I would like to signal them that they may peruse the feast at their leisure. I shall abstain myself. I don't know. I might take a drink. I'll take a drink, just to not seem impolite.
That's fair.
Mackie he's a party boy. He's looking at this feast and he's like,
Also, did you get my thing earlier where I said I wanted to bring presents?
I think you... I remember you saying, but I don't remember you like specifying what you...
Oh, I wanted to bring best quality bolter for each of the designation and a very nice chainsword. The nicest we could spare for each of the main delegation.
That is... fair. I don't know...
It's sort of far too big for them.
Well, I mean, so's a bolter, honestly.
Yeah, it's a ceremonial gift.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be...
carry one?
have a ceremonial...
No, it's a ceremonial... Have you seen some ceremonial swords, young Nicholas? They're gigantic.
That's actually pretty fair. That's quite a gift as well, for the record. Like, you've got spare bolters, but I don't know if you're just like chucking out best quality ones. But, you know, it is still like, whoa.
If three bolters win us a world, it will be more than enough.
He makes a compelling point. The two of you engaging in this whispered conversation, Coayah and Nazeem on the route over. When are you doing the presentation?
I'd like to present them at dinner.
Okay.
Present the gifts.
I will remind you that you have the magos-adjutant there.
Yeah, and he can shut up.
My boy Seb's recording. I won't be happy. Oh, precious chainsaw.
So as you sit down for dinner, the Honor Guard falling in around you, taking up polite defensive positions in the standard bodyguarding manner, Coayah gestures to have gifts brought forward. And one of your sort of serfs who's come along with you brings forward two... So he's got like a dolly, and on the dolly are a number of ornate crates, and in the crates are the assorted gifts, the chainsword and both of the bolters. Magos-adjutant Manabi Virith is mostly unconcerned with the food. He sits there arguing with / berating Seb in Technolingua the entire time, mostly for him being a traitor to Mars and not
So I'm going to have him killed and replaced with the... Sorry.
You know what? For the sake of inclusion, yeah, sure. So assuming that you're not breaking into his office like right now, Coatlmox, you're watching all of this at a like 8-second delay via the link planted inside Seb's torso, which is relaying his picked feed back up to the Obsidian Heart. Okay. You go to present the gifts. And when the crates open and the Magos momentarily snaps around, he launches to his feet and begins screeching at you in High Gothic.
Tech Heresy, you can't be giving away my precious bolters.
I just did.
And he makes a lunge for the nearest bolter. We'll say... Yeah, Nicholas, give me a d4, please, to see which one of you is nearest to him.
Oh, I hope it's me.
2. It's actually young Nicholas.
He's lunging for the bolter, is he?
He's lunging for the bolter that Coayah has just given, without telling you, to the locals.
Oh, fuck me. I'm generally surprised. I wasn't expecting him to be quite so violent. Maybe outspoken, yes, but not lunging.
I can see it. He's Admech.
Giving
They're
away
nice
2 of his best quality bolters, you know. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there. That was not bad.
Gently break his spine.
Just catch him with one of your fists, and then keep catching him as your hand passes through his spine. And you can make it look like an accident. Nobody will notice.
You've got a minute real time to react on Nicholas, and after that,
Thank you.
You've delayed too long, and he's just going to grab it.
Young Nicholas just orders several of the honor guard to take him back to the stormbird. The Magos is tired.
Firebird.
Firebird, yeah. No, I will grab him by the shoulder and request that he calm down. They are presents. And that you're looking a bit tired. Maybe the festivities have got to you.
I will take Intimidate over Strength at a -30, please.
Do we get bonuses for the fact we have 5 heavily armed honor guard behind us?
So in almost all situations, yes. In this instance, it is an ultra-conservative Magos reacting to his precious tech being given away. So this is factoring in all of the relevant... he'd die for those bolters. And he might.
And he might, yeah. Definitely, if he buggers up this diplomatic mission, he will.
Ooh.
Let's fate that.
You can fate it once.
Yep.
Oh, we start with full fate refresh for this new campaign, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's cool. Cool. So that... Strength, right?
Yep. Strength at a -30.
-30.
Sorry, Intimidate over Strength at a -30, yeah.
Intimidate, which is trained, so that's 10, 20, that's out. So that's 3 successos.
Cool. So then, to round out the session, Brother Captain Nazeem's arm shoots out after a microsecond of hesitancy, grabbing the Magos by the shoulder and forcing him back into his seat. He whirls where he's sat. Magos Virith, you seem tired. You will be taken back to the ship. And with a click of his fingers, 2 nearby honor guard come to drag the screaming Magos back to the Firebird.
I make a comment to the party at large. Magi, can't live with them, can't live without them.
I was actually about to ask, would someone like to make the first comment there afterwards? And yeah, let's have a. I'll take a charm at +0 from Mackie, please.
Sure. Is it, if it's basic, does that mean it's +10 or a 0? I just can do it.
Basic means it's +0, yeah.
Yeah. Notch. Cool. So this is 40 or under. I'm going to spend a fate point.
Get 100.
2 degrees of failure that time. My joke does not go down well.
Your joke does not go down super well. The emissaries, and indeed everyone, as the room has fallen more or less stock silent, including all of the musicians who just stopped playing, seem put off and kind of reluctantly accept the gifts, but they're generally quite upset about this.
Yeah, you just received gifts that made one of the delegation go crazy, so maybe it's not a good idea to take them gifts.
Yeah, the lead delegate from Marotha sort of eyes them. Thank you, Lieutenant Coayah, for your presence. Her eyes flick to the seat where the Magos was formerly sat. And then, actually, sorry, just to speedily round off the session and see, let's have one final little bit of drama. Who was wearing full armor and sat down? I believe that was Kuzco and Maccy, right?
I didn't have my helmet on. I had
full armor other than helmet, sorry.
I don't think I'd specified that I sat down, because I was going to ask the question Cread asked, and then when you said they're just benches, I never specified I sat down. I think I've just been, picking at the food, I think, a little bit.
I don't think you can pick it instead. Okay, so fair. I should have been clearer there, but in that case, it'll kind of look like you're one of the honor guard for the record.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I can be sat down then, I suppose.
Makes a comment and then just goes,
well, let's actually see on that. So we'll do call odds or evens. Ollie, call odds or evens for me.
Odds, no evens.
Evens. The bench takes your weight.
Mm-hmm.
And Kuzco, call odds or evens for me.
Before you do that, I would like to mention that my helmet is still on.
All right, fair. Also makes you look a bit honor guardy, I guess, but you did sit down and you are wearing robes, so.
I've just been lifting it up slightly to eat so that my mouth is available.
I think you could eat through the helmets. I'm pretty sure they have
even better.
Intake for that, because you have to eat ration bars and shit through them anyway without de-sealing. So
sweet. Okay, that's amazing. We'll do that.
It's quite awkward and looks a bit weird, but you can do it. I think.
It's like an airlock. You put it in.
Yeah, like a little tray.
They'll make it put it in your mouth for you.
That's the idea of a whirl. You hear a whir and just an entire chicken just goes.
Sorry, call odds or evens for me, Carl.
Evens. No odds.
Evens.
It's odds evens.
Yeah. It doesn't matter which way you do it, because I always fail these things. I don't think I've ever gotten odds or evens right.
You gotta play within where the luck is. If you do the ritual wrongly, then anywho, I suppose Ollie did exactly the same and won. Oh no, because you called it opposite. So
yeah.
So there you go. Everyone follow Ollie's example. Ollie is doing it correctly. Good job, Ollie, and no one else. We'll start off with Coatlmox next. Hey, cool. That feels like a good spot to end it, as the bench beneath Kuzco punctuates the silence by snapping and sending him to the floor.
Does that cause... How many other people are on the same bench with him?
I reckon I got my own.
Yeah, I think in fairness it's probably your own, actually. That seems reasonable. Cool. Any reminders for next session?
Flip out. Oh, sorry, flip the fuck out.
Try and get the party back on track.
To apologize to the Magos and allow him to choose a punishment for what's his face?
Coayah.
For Coayah.
What if he picked execution?
Note to self: face the Magos if he fucking backtalks me.
So my reminder for next session is going to be try and figure out how the fuck I can get the the lieutenant and the captain to start working nicely together.
You're the lieutenant as well.
Coayah specifically to work well with our captain, Nazeem.
I have sneaking into Admech office and plan to kill ship Admech? ?
Negotiations didn't go as well as... not negotiations. First impressions may be sullied.
And that's going to come at the end of the rest of these.
Okay, maybe something that's like gifts have been... The gifts look suspicious? Something like that.
Anything else?
Oh, a reminder that my helmet's off, maybe.
Fair.
I'll forget otherwise.
To apologise to the delegation for the interruption.
Oh, quick question.
Yeah.
Like if thingies are over. If I were to like keep my Vox network off and Lord Hailer off, like if I was screaming in my helmet, would there be like any outward, like how insulated is the sound?
Yeah, they'd hear like, especially if you were really loudly screaming, they'd hear like muffled screams.
Curious. Could I have another note? Consider screaming.
Okay.
When the food void opens, it screams back.
More of like it's like, goddamn motherfuckers can't make a fucking bench right, Jesus Christ, or Emperor damn it, sort of thing. But like, of course, you know.
Any other reminders for next session?
Oh. Just as the grill comes up, you just slowly turn into nice Carl again.
Okay,
Big poses again.
Take that as a no. Cool. Feedback. Anything you liked, anything you disliked, anything you'd like to see more of or less of next time. I know on my end, like I know we had a lot of planning and such, but I also feel like that was kind of relevant to set things up.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Fair.
No
Like,
more Firebirds.
Yeah, I
No
was going
more.
to say on that note, like, although it was like jokey and amusing, it was getting like towards the end of the session, it started to go on a little bit, but we were having fun, so I don't mind too much.
That's fair. And now we have one Firebird, and that will fill the vehicle meme slot along with the quad bike for basically ever, hopefully. I hope the
how
Firebird...
fast it's going to take for Benji to send that on a suicide mission.
What, the Firebird? I'm sure...
Yep, without my ordering.
I'm
I somewhat imagine that thing with two giant Promethean tanks is essentially a suicide mission every time it's flown. I imagine the pilots in there are either the ones that no one likes or are constantly terrified.
You could permanently assign, what's his thingy?
To fly the...
initial code, yeah, to flying the Firebird.
Right, that's the one we don't like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's-
Imagine that. Officially, he's just in the remedial squad and he'll be allowed out when he can prove himself. And in practice, you have an entire suicide vehicle modified just to put him in it.
I believe my words were, if he meets our kill count.
Yeah, but I don't know if this was just me, but I also felt like there was a subtle undercurrent of, and if he even got slightly close, you would order the bombing of the city from orbit, thereby completely, like... it might have just
Thereby
been...
putting him far out of the reach of our kill count.
Exactly.
Because obviously we'd have then...
Might just be me, but I really read into that immediately. Anyway,
that might just be you.
In fact, I was even thinking, like, there's a loophole here. It's like, if no one gets killed, he instantly gets promoted. So it's actually in his favour for not to cause trouble right now.
Any other feedback? And thank you for the note on the Firebird. I'll try and knit that a bit faster next time.
It's similar to what we were talking about last session with sort of arguments, I suppose, over lore and things.
Yeah.
Fair. Any other feedback? Nope. Cool. Questions? Anything anyone was narratively unclear of in that session? Is everyone following the plot?
I think so. It might be nice to get, because it sounds like you have some pretty extensive notes, so it'd be nice if you could post, you already have for the most part, I think, but post those notes that you read out to us.
Oh man, extensive notes. I don't do extensive notes, Ollie. Like, I once sent Whitey my template for how to run a campaign, and his exact response, verbatim, was, "Is this it?" Like, I do myself cliff notes, which include a fair amount of spoilers, and then I wing it from there and have like a mental record of what's happening in the background. But
Totally, yeah, no, like, this after gaming with you for half a decade, this is no surprise. We mostly already know this. It's more just it did sound like you had some things written down.
oh yeah, I've got a fair amount written down, but it's not like extensive, and
Yeah,
a lot of
okay.
it's,
Bad choice of words on my part, then.
no, reasonable. Because fuck you. But yes, no, sorry. So I likely won't be posting those notes. I feel like that, for me, that falls on like player knowledge that you should either remember or note, or like at least remember to confirm before asking. And then if you forget, then it's kind of fine to forget in character as well. Like you're a conquering imperialist bastard and not even reading the slightly inaccurate briefing you've been given seems slightly par for the course, bearing in mind that 40% of the command crew upon entering the system were completely in favour of just bombing the world into ashes from orbit. But a valid
I'm still up for that, though, to be honest.
I was almost surprised you didn't stay on the ship and then attempt to have one of the non-shielded settlements
obliterated from orbit.
Yeah, exactly.
Just sending a message.
They were firing at us. Quickly, you got to get out of there. We fired back, but I think we missed them. As you bomb Rakik out of existence.
Oh, well, I'm the only command crew left on the ship. Am I technically in charge of the ship?
Yeah, I would say so, probably.
Neat.
Also note the Admech isn't on the ship, and he might not make it back onto the ship.
Good.
He might be caught in an unforeseen eddy of transfer. AKA, I kick him out the back of the fucking ship when we're on transfer back.
That might
be in favour.
A bit dicey when Nazeem is clearly he's had it a bit up to here with your bullshit, and murdering the magos-adjutant attached to your fleet is both ethically bad, even though he's a dick on the one level, and then on the other, that is the perfect. Yeah, fuck you. We're going to bust you down to FIREBIRD duty. It's going to be you and fucking Michiko flying that for the next 20 years.
I feel like as well, there's no guarantee that if we do kick this guy out the back of the ship, one, the Admech aren't going to be like, yo, where's our lead? And two, if they don't ever find him again, and be like, well, we're going to put our famously patient and lovingly caring, very open next guy in command who isn't total conservative.
Also, I wouldn't be killing him for any. I wouldn't be killing him. I would be executing him for impeding the Omnissiah and the Emperor's will.
I add the reminders.
I think that's stretching it a little bit.
Yeah. You should have won gold there for the mental gymnastics.
Especially when you pissed me off.
What's the? I mean, and
pissed you off.
What do you mean? How have you pissed him off? Sorry.
I'm not even
what is your reminder?
Dignify that with an answer, Benji.
I'm kind of loving the qualified subordinate versus unqualified commander drama.
Right, young Nicholas, how many?
No. We've just had people mention. Sorry, another time. Creed, what was the extra reminder you wanted to add?
Coatlmox has temporary ship commands.
Yeah, terrifyingly noticed.
They make one transgression while I'm watching through the feed.
For the record, you technically have fleet command, not ship command.
Just going to order them to ground themselves.
Cool. Question about tech. Do our onboard Voxes reach back to the fleet, or do we have to use some kind of relay?
The Voxcaster and the Stormbird would. Your suits don't have onboard Voxcasters. They just have standard Voxes, probably quite good ones though. I would say that your civilian coterie sort of tagging along with you probably has a Voxcaster with them. And also, to be fair, with how we're portraying him, you know who definitely has a Voxcaster of some kind, probably quite a good one, because even though the standard range is already 10k kilometers on those things, and because he's currently Voxcasting, he's currently broadcasting his pick feed back up to the ship, means that Seb has an inbuilt Voxcaster as well.
Sweet, because I was just wanted to stay in touch.
Sorry, Carl?
Oh, I was just saying, I just wanted to stay in touch.
Yeah, that's an entirely fair and valid concern, especially if someone starts impromptu bombing from orbit.
Someone just looks at the FIREBIRD wrong and it just blows up. Oh no, there goes our Voxcaster.
It's still a stormbird chassis, right? So you really need to try to puncture it, but at the same time, a strategic melter bomb on the inside, and yeah,
it's the two giant Promethean tanks.
It is the two giant Promethean tanks.
One thing that'd be quite funny though, if those guys have Voxcasters and they can transmit out to space, they are probably emitting a really audible hum, and anything put in front of them every time they send a burst of communication is probably getting somewhat cooked, which is quite funny. I know it's space tech and it doesn't actually work that way, but the idea of that is pretty hilarious.
So, any other questions? Nope. Cool. In that case, let's do some XP.
XP.
Yeah. Cool. Plot progression. Does anyone feel like you made any significant plot progress this session?
First contact. Well, more like second contact, really, but not the point.
We made a first impression. Wasn't necessarily a good one. We made a first impression.
Met the locals. Discuss some more plans.
I think technically those 3 comments are all the exact same thing.
We came up with a...
First contact, first impressions, and met the locals are just different phrasings.
Rewording.
We made sure we outlined the military weaknesses and strengths of our enemy in case it all goes tits up.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite fair.
Yeah, significant background, I would say.
So it's been a while since we've had a big planetary analysis thing. I don't think I've had to do one of these since Rogue Trader, basically. And I'm a little bit surprised by the competency exhibited compared to Rogue Trader's general policy of, like, sniff out where the money is first, and then... question mark, profit. Yeah.
I believe we've got a professional with us, so like it makes sense.
That's true. So,
also, one thing doesn't count. We officiated the structure with of squads within our company.
I don't think you technically did, actually. I think you got as far as giving the Havoc squads. Sorry, I'm fucking.
Oh, was that it? Okay.
But yeah, what's it called? You got as far as giving the Havoc squads to Maccy, and then like after that, it became people suggesting things to Nazeem, and Nazeem not meaning to slag off, but kind of agreeing with the last thing that was said to him. So we just kind of like stopped and moved on with the cultural stuff at that point, I think. Though I do love Nazeem trying to be a fair leader and everyone around him abusing the shit out of that trust.
Yep.
Gonna get a slowly jaded young Nicholas. Oh yeah, to be fair, actually, Kuzco is not abusing that trust, but only because Kuzco isn't really helping. Character development. Does anyone feel like they developed their character this session? And if so, how?
I feel like I've become a strong, competent leader who's able to get his Havoc squads with help from his... You know what the character development is? A friendship forming with Coatlmox. Originally they were going to be enemies, fighting for the quartermaster role, but now these grav guns, it feels like a good time.
That's very fair. Anything else?
I've taken to... Oh wait, I'm going to say more solidifying the nature of... what's the good way of saying it? Like the experimentation on people, like without really caring. It's for your own good, don't worry.
Yeah, Kuzco's continuing attempts to be the slimiest possible bastard he can be, almost irrelevant of circumstances.
The problem is, right, because, Kuzco's a philosopher as well. He knows all the right things to tell himself to convince himself this is fine.
WOD rules. The more conscience you have, the easier it is to ignore. Sorry?
Starting up on my plans to take over the AdMech rule the ship.
I was kind of wondering where that was going, honestly. Like,
I lost my sentence structure.
I sensed that you were going to say taking over something, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be like taking over the company or not.
Not yet. We'll see if I do some surprise war before the others get back to the ship.
Surprise? What, like bomb the Promethean fields to the southeast of here?
Just deploy, all the troops, start the war.
Just an entire Baneblade company, all the Titans, How many Baneblades do you have, by the way?
I don't think you guys have Baneblades. You don't have armoured companies particularly. They are in general use at the much more widespread use at this point, but you currently don't have any. You got Titans for your heavy armour.
That's fair.
Yes, thing. Cool. So what was that? That was Coatlmox's beginning conspiracy things. Nascent insurrection. There we go. The rebellion no one saw coming. And excellence of roleplay. Does anyone feel like anyone else roleplayed particularly well? Did you just snort at the rebellion no one saw coming, Benji?
Might have done.
I hear your background sass. Yes, excellence.
I think Ollie leaned into his, like, I'm going to say obsession with the Havoc squads and blowing things up with the graviton guns and stuff. Just like, yeah, just put them all in one party, you know, like, just biggest boom possible.
They call us the Shaken Bakers because we set our graviton guns to the pulse setting and just find buildings we don't like very much.
I don't think graviton guns have settings. I'm pretty sure you just like...
This one does. It has the focus beam, which can be used to pin targets, and the broad beam, which can be used to collapse weak floors and structures, jam machinery, damage vehicles, rupture storage tanks, or cause any other sort of mayhem as a GM sees fit.
Alright, well, I stand corrected. Fucking Great Crusade tech bullshit.
Yeah, they basically turn into earthquake cannons. There is actually an earthquake cannon, but...
I love the idea of a Havoc squad that's five grav cannons and 5 heavy bolters, and just, I don't know, that's an immense amount of death to be putting out, especially for a primarily like urban droppy legion.
The thing is as well with the ways the...
Sorry, let's keep pace on this. Actually, excellence of roleplay. Any other excellence of roleplay awards?
I liked Kuzco's. I'm going to become the ship doctor, whether you like it or not.
He is the ship doctor. He started as the ship's doctor.
I guess I mean more than. I don't even know how to put it. I just like the fact that he's just like mentally gymnastic. How do I put it? I can't figure out how to word it correctly.
Kuzco loses his medical license.
I guess Carl's leaning. Yeah, Kuzco's leaning into his
medical license.
Medical license. Real fragile bit of laminated plastic, and you're a full-on space marine. We'll see how long that thing lasts.
I mean, more stretching his medical license.
It's more of making a reference to the medic from TF2.
Hippocratic oath? More like Hippocratic suggestion.
They categorically do not have to take the Hippocratic oath as an apothecary.
That's kind of detriment to your work.
Nothing else, you are specifically required to kill people. I think it's an American thing anyway, is it not, the Hippocratic oath?
Well, originally it's a Greek
thing.
I
know originally it's a Greek thing, but I mean in the modern day I don't think anyone takes it but America. No idea. Any other excellence of roleplay awards?
I think Nick's general captaincy was pretty good. Like, he was being a captain.
I enjoy Nick's captaincy. Like, it's a similar way to the reason I enjoy Ferdinand in VTM. Ferdinand is very much a nice person in a terrible world, and Nazeem is a reasonable person in an unreasonable world, and he's trying to be just a reasonably good, okay guy, but it's also like that doesn't work very frequently, and it fucks him and other people over. But what's he supposed to do? Become a wanker. Become the Coayah within. But at what cost?
I was going to add just Coayah's constant, any opportunity to usurp or undermine commands he takes.
It's also extremely valid.
Old Mackie's consistent cracking jokes at 4 times. Well, I don't know if that's been much in these campaigns yet.
I would actually say the opposite of poor times is usually Ollie says the jokes at like the exact right moment to completely fuck the tone of the situation. But they've been a lot more in character this time. Like, if nothing else, that was like I was literally about to ask people to react to a thing then, and Ollie was in there with a pretty reasonable joke at the correct moment. So Nazeem's reasonable captaincy, Coayah's attempt to acquire the captaincy. Cool. Okay, let me tally that.
It could arguably be character development that I'm timing my jokes better.
I hate to say it, I would say that's player development. I love you, Ollie, but words cannot express how happy I am that you're getting better at timing your jokes.
I mean, I think I always knew I was timing them. It's what I was saying. I knew I was saying the wrong thing. It's now I'm taking these games just a little more seriously. And
yeah, but it's only a little more seriously, I think, is the thing, and I appreciate that because you haven't lost the jokes you make. It's just like you've turned the dial about 10% up, and that makes such a world of difference, in my opinion. I did like. It's not a thing I knew I wanted until you started doing it, and then I was, oh fuck, how did we ever live without this? I made that out to be 155 experience points for session number 7. 20 points of plot progress, that's first contact for the expeditionary fleet at least, plus doing good sort of mission analysis beforehand. 30 points, character development, Maccy forming a friendship with Coatlmox, Kuzco's ongoing slimy bastardy, and Coatlmox's nascent insurrection. 30 points, excellence of roleplay. Maccy takes an active interest in developing his Havoc squads. Kuzco stretches his medical license. Nazeem's reasonable captaincy. And Coayah's attempts to acquire the captaincy, plus 75 standard. Which brings us on to everyone's favourite part of the session. It's the highlights.
Sorry, what was the total on the XP there?
155. Thank you. Benji, do you have any highlights for that session?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, sorry, let's get the obvious one out of the way in advance. In all caps, FIREBIRD. Right, carry on.
Come back to me, I need some time.
Oh,
my brain.
Carl, do you have any highlights for that session?
I didn't write it down, but like it's not the squabblers that we were called, right? Or was the other thing?
Quarrellers that you were called.
Quarrellers, thank you.
Like, I know we said beforehand that, yeah, we'll call the Legion the Obsidian Eagles, but then the more reading I was doing on, like, early Great Crusade stuff, and Legions get their names assigned by, like, their actions and deeds, and I really felt like that was the name that suited you all the most.
Yeah.
Anything else?
What's it? Admech flips out.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his name.
The Admech tantrum.
Yeah,
Just Adjutant Manabi Virith.
Adjutant gets agitated. Or no.
Anything else?
Ad bench.
Ad bench?
Bad bench.
I don't...
Where the bench broke when he sat on it.
Oh, bad bench. I thought you said ad bench, and I was thinking the Adeptus bench.
technically, not incorrect, that we did have an Adeptus on a bench at one point. Adeptus Mechanicus is version.
Well, it's not. It's still the Mechanicum. I like listening back to the fucking campaign 1 stuff. I constantly flip between saying it wrong, like in so many ways, and it really annoyed me. Anything else, Carl?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Cool. Creed, do you have any highlights for that session?
Stealing first contact, or our first contact, when Benji stepped ahead in the shuttle, or spoke ahead.
Oh, Christ, yeah. Anything else?
I'd make Rees at dinner, but I think it's covered.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Cool. Young Nicholas, do you have any highlights for that session?
Tsunami?
God damn it. Anything else?
If we boil the oceans.
I think that's about it, actually.
Fair. Ollie, do you have any highlights for that session?
Kuzco and Maccy sharing knowing looks. The meet and greet went about as well as expected.
I mean, honestly, it went better, I thought. Like, it could have gone a lot worse, it could have gone a lot better, but I was expecting it to go much worse.
I was expecting it to go exactly as how it went. I'm very happy to see my confirmation my suspicions confirmed.
Anything else?
I didn't think we'd start an all-out war, and I didn't think it would go perfectly.
It's not
Yeah, it's also true. I assume FIREBIRD has already been mentioned.
I put it in first, mostly so that Benji couldn't control the narrative by giving it a negative name. FIREBIRD is the best highlight.
It is. It is. Oh, well, I had one more. I had one. No, sorry, it's gone. It's gone.
Cool. In that case, I think finally, Benji, do you have any highlights for that session?
I'm trying to figure out the way to word it, but you're pushing me back. You're pushing me so much. I'm considering joining the Iron Warriors.
Making the Imperial Fists fan so desperate he'd join the Iron Warriors. Anything else?
Young Nicholas doesn't know how delegations work.
Really? I thought he handled it kind of okay. Like, there were a few questions.
The important person doesn't speak first. He's introduced by his subordinates.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if that's the case, then I think I was also blanking on that.
Yeah, I think that's being a bit picky.
You're presented to people.
Are you trying to claim you weren't intentionally undermining him?
Yes! I introduced him as being in charge!
You did an ad roll. To get
Yeah, you charged it in
actually-
front of me.
100% did have that.
My highlight remains young Nicholas doesn't know how delegations work.
Alright.
that's the delegations in our universe.
Okay, no, I've agreed. I will put it down, but I'm putting doesn't in inverted in quotation marks. Anything else?
Ollie immediately goes straight heresy.
Wait, what was Ollie's heresy?
Yeah, that's
The way he started mentioning how he wanted his Devastator squads to be full of havoc and chaos. It's like,
Oh yeah, that was
Jesus
beautiful.
Christ, you immediately went full heresy.
Like, I really appreciate that you weren't aware of the terms you were using. Well, I mean, I guess chaos, but yeah, but like the moment you started describing your Devastator squads as havoc, and it's like, you know what? We should reclassify the Sentinels as Defilers. I think, and we give them big grabby arms as well. That would really help. It was beautiful.
You know what this Legion needs? More chainswords and 8-pointed stars.
I feel like maybe the Terminators, they just have so much firepower, they kind of just obliterate everything, don't they? Maybe even the Dreadnoughts, they kind of obliterate everything. I can't remember which one it is, it's Terminators or Obliterators.
Obliterators actually don't come from either, generally.
I thought it was like implied they came from Dreadnoughts.
No, Obliterators it's a virus, but you put it into generally you put it into a normal marine. Hypothetically, you could put it into a Dreadnought and you get a monster. But generally they go into a normal marine. You could also put it in a Terminator, but I don't know like how much bulkier they could get, honestly.
Obliterators are not size queens.
Cool, I've completely forgotten what the fucking... oh yes, sorry, Ollie immediately slips into Heresy.
I'm definitely calling them Havoc Squads, by the way.
You 100% should call them Havoc Squads. I love it. It is also a genuine Havoc Squad in that it's made up 100% of heavy weapons, so it works really well.
Yeah.
It jives nicely with my childhood. I approve. I was a Chaos player. Great.
Yeah,
fun.
sorry. The command squad goes full World Eater, destroy the world immediately upon arrival.
I mean, living up to their name, I suppose.
What should we do? Let's burn the seas and salt the sky. Don't we need this world? Nah.
Can't plant crops in the sky if you salt it.
The thing that I like, because I could understand someone memeily going like, "Yeah, all right, let's just kill everyone," and then the objective is announced, and there's a silent, "Oh, I guess we can't kill anyone." But then Plan B was, "But what if we kill everyone in a way that doesn't damage the industry too much? That might work."
But then we have all this industry, but no one to operate it.
Also, it would damage the industry colossally. Like tidal waves are not kind. But I just the fact that you came at it like 3 times. Any other highlights?
Landing a void ship for swag points.
I maintain it would have been the cooler thing to do.
You're not wrong.
It potentially would have been, to be fair.
Perhaps.
Any other highlights, Benji?
No, I think that's it for now.
That is extremely fair. Cool. In that case, any final words for the recording?
Have you got any highlights?
Wait, have I got any highlights? Yeah, I had stormbird, firebird, the havoc stuff. Also, it was just generally nice. Like I say, people doing investigation into the world and like asking questions and things. When young Nicholas came at me with a sudden, we actually don't know anything about the economy. Like, yeah, granted, he tried to ask about culture, but it was a pretty vital point. And up until that point, you hadn't identified the what's it called? The farming section that was like feeding the entire world. That was young Nicholas coming in here with we should really check and see if there are any gaps in our knowledge. So I was pleasantly surprised. I thought you were going to kind of swag in having scan read half of the stuff presented, and that didn't really happen. So really patronizing.
Heresy season 1 players anymore, mate.
Fun times. We didn't. Hey, Fabs. Yeah. Any final words for the recording?
Tsunami?